Welcome to the Nature's Image Farm podcast. We're glad you're here. I'm Greg.
And I'm Susan. And together we're raising 7 kids on the farm and learning life lessons along the way.
So pull up a chair, rest your heels, and let's talk all things bees, homesteading, and the old-time ways.
Let's get after it.
If you're interested in nukes, packages, queens, or supplies, visit us on the web at naturesimagefarm.com.
Well, hey everyone, welcome back to another Stream Team Beekeeping Chat with Brian Castle Hives, Bruce from Bruce's Bees. I'm Greg at Nature's Image, and tonight we have a very special guest. Special in so many ways. Right, guys? It is our absolute honor to have on tonight's Stream Team Beekeeping Chat, the one, the only, YAPPY BEEMAN. Is this thing on? Tap, tap.
Is it? Hello?
Hello?
Hello. Hey, baby. How you doing?
I'm confused as to who that is, though, because I thought it was Honey Money.
No. I am YAPPY BEEMAN, the host of Honey Money TV.
Look at that. Professional. YAPPY, thanks for jumping on tonight. You know, it's like my dad always said about my chore money. It's better late than never. So we're glad you could be here tonight. It totally wasn't Bruce or anybody else late. It's the price you pay, you know, for being such YouTube royalty like YAPPY. But there's a burning question everybody wants to know right now. YAPPY, what is in the Super Gulp?
The Super Gulp? The winner is?
Wait, don't tell us.
Well, do you think it's sweet tea? Unsweet tea? Pop? Of what flavor would be pop? Or could it be something that is not so family friendly?
Or is it like a really special high alkaline water with a pH of 9.5 for your internal gut health? I mean, it could be that too.
I'm going with aloe water.
Aloe water.
Nice.
Ooh.
And with the little chunks in it, that way it gives you like a full body cleanse. It's free.
I tell you, aloe water would definitely give me some kind of a cleanse. I just don't know if it'd be full body.
Well, hey guys, this beekeeping chat is going great. I want to thank everyone who's tuning in tonight to the after hours late night chat with YAPPY and crew, talking about all things under the table and under the sun. It's going to be a fun chat tonight. I want to thank everyone who's tuning in right now live at the Nature's Image Farm YouTube channel, or if you're tuning into the podcast later. We appreciate you being here. Tonight's going to be a fun chat with our pal, YAPPY the Beeman, a wealth of knowledge, obviously a super good dude, and has influenced a lot of people in the cutout part of the beekeeping, I would say, industry. And he's a lot of fun. A lot of you have gotten a chance to maybe check out his videos, maybe see him speak at a conference. Super good dude. He's got a brand new YouTube channel, Honey Money TV. We'll talk about that later on today too. But it's the time of year where a lot of folks are really concentrating on what can we do to get our bees off to a good start. What can we do to keep our bees as healthy as we possibly can? And believe it or not, there are some beekeeping hacks that you can do with your bees to really get them as healthy as possible. We're going to talk about some of those things tonight. We all have a little different approach with that, and that's going to make tonight's show fun. And to top it all off, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 6 giveaways tonight. We're going to get into those a little bit later, but we're going to be giving away a ton of Hive Alive product. We're going to be giving away the brand new Queen Right dials. That's going to be really awesome. We're going to be giving away a Propolis and DuraHive wax dipped box. And we're going to be giving away some strong Microbials Super DFM. And who knows what else may come up. But we've got 6 big winners. It's going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned tonight. Going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to thank again everyone for being here. And Yappy, thanks for tuning in from the Honey Money Studios, Alabama live, making it happen. And you've got a special orange shirt. How'd you pull that off, Yappy?
Excuse me. Oh, yeah. You see that?
Look at that. You're special.
Look at that.
I didn't even get a
that.
shirt this year.
I would like to say that it complements my hat. Hang on, Greg. Hang on.
Oh, look at that. Nice.
Uh-huh.
Man, you guys are awesome.
I'm telling you what, you get asked to come and get a front row seat to the show. All right. I mean, I'm in a great place because I can just raise my hand and ask questions, and you don't even have to wait to read them down there in the comments where everybody else is. All I get to do is just raise my hand and go, wait. Got
Question?
you right there. Yeah. And I have at least three questions already, but they'll come later. But now the folks over at Hives for Heroes, absolutely love what they stand for, love what they're doing. Creating the relationships between a mentor, a mentee, in the bees being that actual bond that puts them together. But it's about the relationship. It's not about the bees itself. It's about that companionship over that thought process. And I'm very, very happy to support when I can the organization. And I asked Steve, I said, hey, I said, next time you get some t-shirts printed, I said, throw a couple of orange ones in there for me. And he's like, man, I said, I can't wait. So I think they were doing a t-shirt run, and I had a chance where I went to go speak at a grand opening in Conroe, Texas at Winding Creek Apiaries. And they drove all the way from the other side of Texas just to bring me these t-shirts and come say hello. So I was super tickled to get these fancy, one of a kind, only I can own the Yappy Orange Hives for Heroes t-shirts. But with enough interest in them, I think we might be able to pull it off to where, hit them up and you might can get one of your own, and I won't complain if you wear it.
Unbelievable.
I'm telling you what. God, I love that aloe juice.
Don't give it away. One of the secrets, one of the winners, they'll have to guess what you're actually sipping on tonight. That'll be one of the winners. I'm looking forward to giving a bunch of really fun stuff away. But before we get into that, I know it is that time of year where no matter where you are in the country, the beekeeping season is really heating up. So let's start down south. Bruce, fill us in. Tell us what's going on with Bruce's bees in the Dothan, Alabama area.
Man, it's game on down here. I'm sure Yappy would agree, and we're a little south of him. So just always something to do. I'll put it that way. I'm not being lazy. We this past weekend, a couple weekends ago before the Wisconsin conference, I did some splits. We put some cells in there and just letting them ride. And so this weekend I'll be checking those maybe in a little more detail. I peeked in on some last week, and I didn't really see a lot of indication of eggs yet. It had been right at 2 weeks. And I like to give them a little bit longer, maybe 3 to 4 weeks, and then pretty much for sure. So this weekend I might be peeking on some of those. And I also tried something. I say this for the first time. It's for the first time I've gotten real serious about it, and that is I tried some grafting this past Saturday. On Friday, I got the cell builder put together kind of per Mr. Greg Burns at Nature's Image Farm. The way he suggested, I tried to follow pretty closely to what we talked about extensively when we were in Wisconsin, and put some, then Saturday I did some grafting. The hive I was going to graft from, the colony I was going to graft from, I think the queen is swarmed. I'm kind of giving away my next videos, but nobody's watching. Nobody's on here but us four, right? So nobody's going to hear this. So I'm kind of giving a little bit away for the video. It's going to drop probably tomorrow. But anyway, queen had swarmed. I think there was no indication of a queen, no egg. Lots of bees and some brood, but no eggs. So I'm like, man, I had my easy peasy system with everything all ready to go. I had figured out how I was going to graft in my truck. I'm like, well, I guess I'll just ride on over to Applin Farms, which is about 10 minutes away. It's kind of windy, a little rainy, it just wasn't a really pretty weather day. But I kind of blasted my heater in my truck so it'd be nice and warm. And and I had kind of a damp towel in there and everything. I tried to keep it as moist as possible, and I figured out a way to clamp that frame on my steering wheel. I didn't film any of this because I was so intense trying to figure out how to graft that I just couldn't have worried about trying to film all of this. But I ended up just pulling some graphs, and I had a pretty good take. And watch the video tomorrow. If you look on my channel, you can see that I did a community post where there it is right there. So it's pretty nice. Had a pretty good little acceptance rate, but you got to watch the video to see exactly how many it was and how they looked. So today I went down there after work. That's one reason I was actually a little bit late getting on the stream team, although I wasn't late because we hadn't started yet. And I actually put the easy peasy cages on there so they can stay in that starter / finisher hive. It's just a queenless colony until they're ready to emerge, hopefully in the next few days. And so it's been a lot of fun. I really surprised myself when I was doing it. When I was grafting, I felt like I was just doing a horrible job. I kept flipping the cells over, the little larvae over, or just crushing them as I was trying to pull the grafting tool out. So it took me forever to get 30 grafts, but I guess it paid off to take my time and make sure I had them in good position, because I had a pretty darn good take. I was hoping for the best and expecting the worst, preparing for the worst. And I think I don't know if I could have done much better for it to be the first time grafting. Now, I did graft several years ago, and it wasn't a very good take. I didn't have any clue what I was doing, and just tried a whole different way to set up the starter hive and everything. I was trying some kind of a fancy, weird way to do it. And this time I just did what the pros do. I went to Greg, who is someone who raises queens. And so I'm like, well, maybe he knows what he's doing. And it's kind of the most common. Well, there's several ways to do it, but it worked out really well. And so I was thinking today, I was down there, I'm like, man, I was putting those easy peasy cages on. I'm like, man, I could just drop another graft in here right now, but I couldn't, because I don't need, I've got enough cells right now. I don't need another 30, 25 or 30 cells, or 20, or however many it would end up being. I've got to just really focus on what I'm doing here. But it's going to really open up a lot of opportunities if I can make some of my own queens and not have to continue to wait on other people or try to bring other genetics in. If I can just make my own queens from my best stock, or from stock that is doing really good, then maybe I can develop something that save me a lot of money, and I can do it on my own time schedule. The hive I grafted from was actually one of the queens that I got from Corey Stevens last year. The queens were a little slow to get going last year. Some of them are just kind of starting to take off now, and a couple of them did really well. But I went in this thing. I actually sent Greg, I don't know if I sent it to Brian. I know I sent Greg a video of this last Fridays when I opened this colony up. Looked in, there was triple deep, full of brood, and believe it or not, the bees were very calm, which, that's a cool thing in my bee yard, to have some calm bees. And it was a nice day that day. And so I'm like, well, if hive number 1 doesn't work out, I do want to graft some from this colony. Since hive number 1 didn't work out, I was going to do it anyway, maybe on a later graft, but I just ran over there, and I was all worried. I'm like, man, I've got a 10-minute drive between the 2 bee yards. Can I keep the cells moist enough to be able to not dry the larvae out and everything? And the bees took care of it for me. They did pretty well. So anyway, that's what I've been doing, and so I'm just going to be following up on that. And the weather has really broken here. Today, the next 4 or 5 days, we're in the 70s, sunny weather ahead, just beautiful spring weather. And so I've got to start stacking honey right away. Do some of that this weekend as well. Just an absolutely fun time of the year. It's the best time of the year. As I was going through that colony today, putting those cages on, just the smell. You smells in the bee yard when stuff starts coming in. You can start smelling that. Just a beautiful. People don't realize that have never been in a bee yard during a flow or during the beginning of a flow, just how it smells really good. And so I'm like, man, we are right. Everything's just not popping yet, but it's about to. I think we're within about a week and a half, 2 weeks of everything just kind of breaking out here with a good flow. So it's pretty exciting.
That's awesome. It's one thing to be able to get a grafting tool and feel like you're digging out the right size of material and then get that to go. And I think one of the things that a lot of folks don't understand is what really makes a good quality queen isn't necessarily how you're holding the grafting tool, and not even necessarily the genetic stock that you're working with. Those things matter, but in my opinion, the single most important thing is getting the cell starter right, the health of the health starter, and making sure that those bees are just juiced up and are really cranking on the jelly and do what needs to happen there. If they get that done right there, then it just makes for such a higher quality queen. You can take beautiful genetics, do a great job grafting it, but have a poor starter, and you can have an extremely inferior queen. But you could take a run-of-the-mill queen, graft from her, and have a cell starter that is just on point, and have a superior queen. So those are a lot of fun things. I know we'll get into that a lot more. But yeah, congrats, Bruce. That's awesome that you had such a good take
Well,
early on.
The jury's still out on how good at queens they're going to be, but right now we have some quite a few nice cells. They look really good. So, this is just the very first step, and I realize that. And but I'm hoping we can get them fully mature, get them in colonies, have them emerge and get mated, and then I'm hoping we have some really nice queens. But that's still, we've only done the first step, the first couple of steps. Now we got to follow through and get everything else set up, and hopefully, I've got plenty of bees out there. We got drones flying, and hopefully I can get them into some small, mating type situations, some splits, and then just see what we end up with. Even if, I'm not going to give the number away, but if I can have 15 or 20 nice new queens from my own stock, man, that's just got to be a complete rush. It's got to be a lot. It's going to be really cool to see if I can make it happen. So that's where I'm at with everything right now.
Well, let's stay down in Alabama. Yappy, what's going on in your neck of the woods as far as your beekeeping adventures right now?
Well, I want to say, I think I'm somewhere in the 3.5 to 4 hour window north of where Bruce is at, and we're pretty much right in line with each other on most things. Now, when you talk about the different things that are flowering in that window or that moment, I think he's generally 2 weeks ahead of me as far as some of the things when they bloom. So I'm when he starts seeing that he's got drone brood, I can just about, in my strong colonies, I look back in there in mine and I say, okay, yeah, about 2 weeks later, I'm going to start seeing, cap drone stuff in there. So, he's kind of my timing gauge on things. Yeah. I usually look for Bruce to turn around and go, hey, we got our first swarm. And I'm like, crap, I got to go out there and get my boxes ready because Bruce got a swarm. So it's about 2 weeks. You can, and be honest with you, this is a suggestion to everybody. Pay attention to those things. Be in some of the bee groups that may be south of you, because you can start watching when those progressions are going on. Now, just because somebody turned around and posted that there's a swarm, they caught their first swarm today, that doesn't mean that 2 weeks from now you're going to have them or something like that. But things are kicking in there. Somebody may have caught somebody's swarm because a beekeeper overfed his bees and they busted early. But you can watch time frames. It's like in the fall, I can actually watch people in the fall where they start posting their pictures of fall colors, and it'll be coming up through Ohio into the Kentucky, Tennessee area, and then all of a sudden you're hearing a little bit about in Huntsville, which is about an hour north of me, and you would be amazed that when I hear Huntsville and Chattanooga that are starting to show fall color pictures, I start really paying attention to things that are going on, because it's coming and it's going to be happening very quickly for me also. So just as a note on that. But I've been testing the bees. I agree with Greg, or not Greg, Bruce, that we're about there to explode. We've got we'll have 1 or 2 days of good, really nice, beautiful weather. The bee yard's going extremely crazy. Pollens are coming in. Bees got massive orientation flights going on during the day. I've already been in most of my hives. There's 1 or 2 I actually haven't even been in yet, but we're definitely past the point of having the first round of drone brood hatched out and mature enough to get any of the queens mated near me if I wanted to do any. Recently did a video. We did a live and a couple of short videos, put them all together and made one big video to kind of watch in its entirety, where I pulled a split off of my horizontal hive, and we put them into what I call the nuke maker, which is an identical horizontal hive multi-slot, put 5 frames in it. The donor frame that I used ended up, it had a started cell on it where they had the egg, the larvae in there, still pretty much just a cup. But, they had started that. So I'm like, okay, we've got a good frame. Let's go ahead and take this, put it in there. We ended up pulling 3 cells off of that and went through it just a couple of days ago. And we had our new queen walking around, which is going to raise the questions that I have that I'm going to bring up to you, the brain trust here in a little bit. But, our weather has still been, for me, very up and down. And even though we've got the drones out there, we'll have a couple of days of nice, but then all of a sudden, bam, we're back to cold. Um, we had a real bad day towards the end of the week last week where it rained probably for about 36 hours straight, pretty much, good heavy flood rains. A lot of wind came in right behind that. The next day was just completely horrible, but it really stopped the bees from doing anything. And in part of my management practice, I always try to watch, as far ahead on the weather as I possibly can to kind of figure out what's going to be happening. I also look at that because I will get swarm calls. If the bees are held up for a couple, 3 or 4 days and can't do anything, it never fails that when I time my windows, and then all of a sudden we get that, here comes the next day, it's going to be 70 degrees out, the sun's shining, it's beautiful. I carry swarm swarm boxes with me because I'm probably going to get a couple of calls from that. So everything's really kicking for me right now. We're just like Greg, man. Bruce. I'm just waiting on that. I'm waiting on that next explosion to happen. But there's still plenty out there for him to be bringing in.
Hey, Yappy, just a comment here. I want to get your thoughts on this, and maybe you and Greg, you and Brian as well. Long time ago, I heard a rule of thumb, and obviously it's not exact. It's not exact science, but I've heard that for about every 100 miles north to south, latitude, I guess that is, it's about a week's difference in your flows. So say you're a couple hundred miles north of me, maybe a little bit more. You're going to be a couple weeks behind me. Now, obviously, if you throw in elevation and different things like that, it can be different because obviously, North Georgia mountains, Bob Bean and those guys, it may be even a little bit behind because it's a little cooler. But I think that's a pretty decent rule of thumb. So, folks that are 500-600 miles north, it's going to be another 5 or 6 weeks behind us. And I think that's how it works. The interesting thing, and you mentioned this a little bit also, Gappy, is it's like it kind of, the north is a little bit behind us, and then it goes the opposite direction in the fall. Like even goldenrod starts earlier, it seems like, up there than it does down here. Everything kind of, the leaves start turning earlier up there. And so it's kind of a reverse in the opposite direction. And I heard that way back when I was a fairly new beekeeper, and it kind of stuck with me. And I think it's a decent rule of thumb, obviously not an exact science. There's so many variables, but that can kind of give you an idea. And when I hear people talking up north, well, we're not going to start swarming until the 1st of May or whatever. And then I kind of look at the map, it makes sense. And it kind of seems to be a general rule of thumb.
I've heard similar because I'm about 2 hours north of Greg, and there is about a week and a half to 2 week difference. He'll see things in his area, and then I know that, week and a half or so we'll see it up here. So and that's for like as far as what's in bloom and everything like that, because I remember last year when he was driving up here to a local club, his area is just polluted with all the flowers and all that, and you get up here and there's hardly nothing. So
polluted? What are they, trash flowers? Come on, Brian.
Right. Yes, polluted.
I hate that. Anybody have any extra Roundup? We can get rid of all these pollution flowers. Here's the thing. We'll talk a little bit. I don't want to hog up our kind of check-in beekeeping report time right this minute, but what I can say is we just did a little under 2,000 miles in 2 days, and it's unbelievable when you're driving south and then back north, especially when you're on kind of different parts of the country doing that. What you think you should see doesn't line up with what nature does. You're thinking, well, I guess I don't know anything, because we were driving and hitting certain areas, and you start to think the weather is in some, smooth progression, and then you hit these, little 1 and 2 hour pockets where it's like the brakes were hit on, the elevation changes. That's not going on. We had some folks up here from the Rockbridge farmstead down in Kentucky, Greg and Marianne, and uh, their neck of the woods, they're like 4 hours south of here, and they're like on nearly in the same exact bloom period that we are. But then for us, as we're going down south, just north of them, south of us, when you get to, I believe Tom from Mac Apiary Bees is on here. When you get down to his neck of the woods, I mean, it is like trees are on just in full bloom, and just amazing flower floral opportunities there. And it's just, you cross the river, you get into Florence, things change, and it's like, wow, so you have all these different biomes within stretches where you may go an hour south and you may find yourself 3 days time difference. You may go 4 hours south and it may be going backwards the other way. That's one of the neat things to see, is how the geography affects the timing of spring and all those things, which goes to the thing that we always say is beekeeping is so local, it is so specific. And I know we're going to talk about that more tonight. Brian, what's going on in your neck of the woods up in Northwest Ohio?
Northwest? I must have moved.
Northwest. Guys, I'm on my third monster today. More coffee than I can count. I'm absolutely fried from the trip south and back. Northeast corner. My apologies, good sir.
I mean, I've had rest. I know you've been running all over the country. Up here, when was it? Monday, I got into the colonies. And it's been 2 weeks since when I rearranged things. I went from the double deep to a deep and a medium, just kind of prepping to go to the single, just the single brood. And things, my larger colonies that have the supers on, I mean, I'm seeing pretty much in each one of those, there's like 6 frames of brood up top there, plus what brood is down below. So I was seeing like the first larger patterns of drone brood. So it's going to be super early. I mean, for me, prior years to say, okay, March 25th, when you go and do an inspection on some of your colonies, you're going to see all this brood. You're going to see drone brood, no less. It's early, but we've got to be ready. So, I was able to the other day get some pollen patties on, so that's good. And I think I'm lucky that I did that when I had the opportunity to go and do it, because like today we had rain. Our weather here, and you know how Ohio is. Our weather is so just up and down that some people are like, hey, you're going to put that in and they're just going to explode and do this and that and whatever. And, I mean, we all know there's multiple factors that need to align for them to keep brooding up. But my colonies that are brooding up like that, well, what's going to happen now when we have rain for 2 days or 3 days or 4 days? I want them to have that constant source in there. So I was able to get that in there. I got my strips in also, just to get an early treatment on. So I'll be able to pull my strips May 6th. So, and that'll be the earliest that I've ever had those in as well. So hopefully timing wise, things work out. We'll see. I mean, we all know that the bees, they kind of have their plan and they move forward according to their plan, not ours. So we'll see if I have it all timed out, but time will tell. So it's looking good though. Looking good.
Awesome. Well, hey, Watt, before I ramble on about some of the things going on here, let's give something away. Who wants something really cool that is not only cool but helps you identify the status of your hive? That you may even, although we all have a different way of marking our colonies. I love their tagline: "Ditch the brick, Queen Right dials are a big thing that are popping up all over the place. We are absolutely honored to announce that Nature's Image Farm is now a dealer for Queen Right dial, and we're absolutely, yeah, look at that. Thanks, Brian. We're absolutely, it's amazing to be able to collaborate with not only good products, but products that have good people behind them. That's a big deal for us. And so let's go over here. I got a pile of free stuff here. Tonight, we're going to give away two of these. Right now, we're just going to give one lucky winner is going to receive a 2-pack of the Status Indicator 2.0 Queen Right dial. Super awesome tool. You're going to see this a lot in a lot of places. We're excited to show folks how that might be beneficial for their colonies. Brian, do you have a little features benefits info graphic that we can pop up?
Why certainly. Let me get to it here.
Tonight we're going to be talking about some honeybee health hacks, and I think one of the things that's important as you are inspecting and going through your colonies is to be able to, properly identify where you're at, what you've been doing, and these are great pieces of equipment to do that. You're going to see a lot more information about Queen Right dials kind of pop up everywhere as folks really start to dial in their beekeeping. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see how folks incorporate this kind of a product into their beekeeping. But as you can see here from the graphic, you're able to not only track the status of your colony, whether, hey, we have a green light. Are they queen right, ready to rock and roll? Do they have queen cells? Is there a swarm cell inside of there? Or do they need attention? Do they actually need something? It's a great way to keep your notes right on the front of your colony or the side or the back, wherever you prefer to attach these. And they attach to your wooden hive easily with those provided screws. And then you can track the color of the queen that's in the box with the dial on the right just by turning it to the year's color. So a really helpful tool, not just for beginning beekeepers, but folks who just want a more tangible approach to kind of track what's going on with their colonies without having to write a bunch of notes and things like that. So let's go ahead. If this is something that you would think is cool, you'd like to be the lucky winner of a 2-pack of the Queen Right dial status indicators from here at Nature's Image Farm, where again, we're so honored and humbled to be a part of such a great product. Go ahead and let's see hashtag. How about hashtag Queen Right dial? Hashtag Queen Right dial in the comments below, and Brian will do the the Wheel of Fortune thing. So pretty cool product. It's been crazy here. I'm going to see if I can pull a Brian and share a screen here. Let's see. Boom. How about slides? Let's see. Oh, Brian, I don't think I can pull a Brian. Let's see. That's not it. It's been a lot of fun here. We've put on nearly 2,000 miles in just about two days or so, running down to Georgia to pick up a load of packages, package bees, and bring back here to the farm. And today was the big handoff day, and what an amazing turnout! So many folks from all over the country driving here to pick up packages, to say hi, to support what we're doing here. It was so awesome. And what was neat about it is there were folks from literally just so many neat experiences in life. And I do want to bring them into this conversation. Why folks are hashtag in the comments there. Let's see. So here's kind of what we were up to today, bringing back at least the first round of packages. We've got at least 2 more, possibly 3 more package runs that we'll be doing. And then, of course, our local nuke run where folks will be running up here to pick up nukes and taking them back to their states and such. That's going to be a lot of fun. But what a beautiful time of year right now. And I want to brag on some firsts real quick. Just so many awesome things. We're talking about Queen Right dial. Check this out. Is our pal Kevin Pollis from Fairfield County Beekeepers Association area. And Kevin Pollis was our very first Queen Right dial customer right here in the shop. Thought that would be a
That's
fun
awesome.
share. So Kevin, we appreciate you and what you do for the folks within your club too. So there he is, Kevin Pollis, the very first Queen Right Dial customer right here at Nature's Image Farm. That was pretty cool. And I got this one. This one is really cool. We're talking about our package runs. We've been doing these we've been delivering bees for quite a long time. And let's see if I can get this other screen going here. There are folks who support you all along the way, and I think it's special just to take a second to shout them out and to honor them. This is Mr. Michael Gregory from the southeast corner of Indiana. And Michael Gregory has been a part of our journey for, I mean, nearly the very beginning, was on some of the very first package runs years and years and years ago. And such a good dude. Drove all the way up here to pick up some packages. And it's always great to kind of see folks just doing well and just it's neat. Another very first I wanted to share here. The folks here, Greg and Marianne from the Rock Bridge Farmstead, they drove almost 4 hours just to say hi, pick up some bees. What is really cool about them is they've been following the Nature's Image story from the very, very beginning. And they had found us in the very first podcast that we were guests on, and then kind of had followed our journey along all of these years and all the different shapes and forms as the homestead grew to a farmstead, and as the farmstead grew into farm scale, and how things have kind of adapted and grown and changed and things like that. So that's really awesome. It was awesome. We got to briefly see them at the Bee Expo, but I wanted to give a special shout out to the folks there at the Rockbridge Farmstead. Super awesome. And Brian, there one more photo I want to share with you before we go ahead and spin the wheel for the winner. Is there was a he's number one in my book, and he's your number one fan. He drove all the way up here from northern Kentucky to say hi to Brian. And you know what? Brian wasn't here.
I know.
I just what's going on? I'm just kidding. Anil from NKY Honeybees stopped out today. Super good dude. Got to meet him and his wife. Just great folks. Always good seeing Anil. There were so many folks stopped out today. I didn't get a chance to get a selfie or a photo, but if you did, be sure to tag us on our socials. We love to see that. So anyways, an amazing time here as we are kind of just sharing this love for bees with folks, and to be able to provide packages and equipment to folks all these years later. We've done this for so many years in a row. It never gets old, the people aspect of that. So let's get back to it. Tonight's first giveaway, a 2-pack of Queen Right dials available here at Nature's Image Farm. Hashtag Queen Right dial. Brian, spin that wheel. And the winner is Leona Morgan. Come on down. Leona, if you would, go to our website at nature'simagefarm.com. Hit the About Us on the contact page. Shoot us a message right through there with your info, and we will be sure to get your Queen Right dials shipped out. So congratulations.
Ian's looking for a pack of.
Oh, well, Ian, stay tuned. We're going to give out one more of those yet tonight. So I love being able to have so many cool things to choose from to be able to pass on to folks. That's always awesome. Well, tonight, fellas, I thought it would be fun to talk about some honeybee health hacks. There's a lot of different things I think we all can do to improve the health of our bees, but we don't really get a lot of time to necessarily share some of the ins and the outs and the specifics and how we utilize those in our operations. And I wanted to bring on somebody tonight who, you guys know Yappy as, this fun, outgoing character doing cutouts and getting wild and crazy and all those kind of things. But what a lot of folks maybe haven't had the opportunity is to see the nearly researcher side of Yappy. Yappy is a wealth of information. If you've ever had the opportunity to have a conversation with him about honeybee health, it's just you start going down so many rabbit holes and start learning from each other and having some really excellent conversations about those things. So Yappy, you know, in your world of beekeeping, you know, you're going in, you're doing cutouts, you're rehoming colonies, you're reboxing them, and sometimes you have no idea what kind of situation or scenario that they're in, where they've come from. There may be things that you do to improve the health of the honeybees, and we'll talk about those tonight. But I also know that you came with some questions. So Yappy, I wanted to turn the floor over to the one and only host of Honey Money TV, a brand new YouTube channel featuring the one and only Yappy Beeman. Yappy, take it away.
Well, good evening, folks. Where I'd like to start with this here conversation, being that I'm from not in the South, but now am, I have no idea where we're going with this. All right, here's a question for you. This kind of plays off, wasn't it last week you guys were talking about queens?
Probably.
Yes.
Probably
Yep.
last week. Okay. So before the night's over with, but that when I was referring to having questions, I'm going to see if I can pull this picture up, and I'm going to put it on there, and I'm going to test the panel to tell me on whether you think that this queen has actually made it or not. But that's a whole nother to do. You know, so recently, within the last few months, I acquired some Endura hives from Nature's Image Farms. Now, how that acquisition came about is completely still under review. I make no comments, you know, good or bad and whatever. But the the concept behind a box that is made that is to stimulate the bees in a way to actually possibly propolize or give them space to do such, versus some of the other hives which I see both in my removal scenarios, in my beehives, you know, that we've got out there. The product is going to be actually really great to watch and see how it progresses. It's kind of funny because I've always been a big proponent of the propolis in the hives. I I recently had last year had a swarm move into a box down in some old boxes that I had in storage up underneath a carport, um, down in the bottom part of the yard. And I knew I had to deal with them, didn't think much about it until a couple weeks ago when we finally got down there because I had to get them up and out of there. My biggest fear was it was going to be a hive beetle breeding ground, and thankfully I did what I did because for the most part it was. But to see the levels in a beehive that had not been messed with opened up, I mean I hadn't touched it since they moved in, and I can't even tell you how long it had been, excuse me, since the equipment that was in there had even been touched. But once I got into it, I was finding massive quantities of propolis all up in this box. And so I kind of had a few questions. I actually reached out to Greg to try to get a better understanding of the propol hives, and we kind of started talking about it. And I think that the thought process is in the research that's going into it. I really honestly, I think we're just at the tip of how much that's going to be a major factor, one of the major factors in the longevity and the health of a beehive. And I compare it to where now I've got a box that's supposed to stimulate this, you know, application of the bees putting the propolis in a hive. And I go back and I think about all the different jobs that I've done and where I've seen bees just literally paint the walls of the void that they're in propolis. And I've always likened it to this. When bees are in a void, and we'll just use the example, they're in between the floors of a house, okay? Above it's a piece of plywood for flooring, below it's drywall, and you've got two 2x10s or 2x12s that run a length that they get to expand into. bees will act even in those situations where anywhere a board meets a board, they're going to propolis the lines. And they propolis it because a beehive is nothing but an incubator and a food storage container for something to live in. It's an aquarium without water. It's its own little environment, and if you look at it for what it is, it helps you to understand how I think to manage it. So if we look at it as an incubator, they need to control temperature. How do they control temperature? Well, they control the airflow, just like in your house. You have vents, and they're placed, systematically throughout your house to add the most heat or the most cooling, and in a way that you can maintain level temperature for our comfort. For them, it's to do a job to raise brood, um, either by heating or cooling, and kind of go from there. So I always looked at bees being more of a survivor stock in this wall or in this void between the floors, because the temperatures were regulated throughout the year. It's always 70 degrees in their void space. And but here lately I've already done a couple of removals. Now it's like a red flag. I'm getting into these because I want to see how much propolis that the bees are putting up in there versus how long they've been there, how healthy do they seem, and what kind of mite counts do I get out of those bees. And the mite count thing is just kind of a new thing that I've been doing. I did it off and on last year, but I'm definitely trying to do it more this year because there's so many different factors that play into this. And there's no two scenarios. It's not scientific. It's just that I'm curious to see what's the bigger factor that's keeping these bees, by the numbers, I can't say healthier, but stronger, and maintaining their lifespan through the winter or through a year or two without being managed. And I'm not going down a road of saying something like, treatment free versus treatment. I'm not doing that. Okay. I could argue that all day long, but in a void space where bees have gotten into and they have been unmanaged for multiple years, how is it that they can continue to thrive without us? And what are the factors that are in that box?
How much propolis do you typically find inside of those cavities where the bees have been there for they just didn't swarm under the floor and grow, but in those colonies where they've been there for a minute, you've got that dart comb. How much propolis do you find encapsulating or creating an envelope inside of those void spaces, Yappy?
It's interesting. Yes, based on, could I say, well, if I scraped it all off, it would be a golf ball. Time frame versus an amount that I see. I'd really have to think about it to try to kind of give a good solid answer to that. But where I see it the most is, like I said, everywhere there's a crack, I will see that they have propolized the stew out of it. But it's very interesting because the one place that I will see it more predominantly than anywhere else are going to be in between the floors along those floor joists. I mean, it's just they cover it. The longer they've been there, the more that you can see it. It almost looks like somebody went through there with some kind of an oil per se, and have literally just slathered it, or grease all up and down inside that area. And they just continue to add to it and add to it over the course of years. My compliments to the guys at Premier for having that tree that was cut open at the North American Honeybee Expo to show the inside of that tree and how much propolis was actually inside of that, because I see that same thing inside of houses. There's times where I've pulled drywall off, and they've covered the drywall in propolis. They want that inside of their colony, and I'm all for it. And I had suggested this to somebody else. If it's that important to the bees, then why do we do our best to try to remove it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, propolis is something that you can look up. You can look up the medicinal properties of propolis on for humans, and the many forms that it comes in. I mean, we make. I know a guy that he's with the Hives for Heroes group. He loves to collect propolis. He puts propolis traps in his beehives and everything because he actually collects it because somebody buys it from him. And it's, I won't say he's getting rich off of it, but you know, he gets a pretty good price per pound or per ounce or however he sells it. But there's a market for propolis out there. So if there's a market for something that people can put into a mix and then we buy it for our health, why are we not thinking about that one very thing when it comes to our bees? I mean, I will literally collect. If I scrape off propolis, it goes into a baggie that I carry with me when I'm in my bee yard. I'll scrape it off. It goes in the baggie. If it's because I'll take that same propolis on a younger colony. If I catch a swarm today and I get them home and I put them in that box before that week is out, once they've set up shop and they're making a home, I'll take some of that propolis and I go out and I start rubbing it inside their colony. If it's a newer box, if it's an older box, it's been used, it's already got it in it. But in my new boxes, I will take some and rub it inside that colony just because I feel like it's something good to do. I can't prove that it does anything, but I want to stimulate them to add more to it, or they can take and move it, do whatever they want to. But that's just something that I do.
There's going to be a lot more information coming out. What's amazing about propolis, obviously, as folks are starting to learn more about the propolis envelope and the benefits of that, there are opportunities to actually create a product, put it into the marketplace that actually has benefit to the bees. And what's Yappy, to kind of speak to what you've seen there or what you said, there's so many things that we don't necessarily understand exactly the mechanisms behind how certain things happen, but we have measurable data that show, okay, when this happens, whatever this is, here's what we're finding. Here are the components and the measurable metrics and data based on that. With Propola, with folks like Dr. Marla Spivak and Dr. Mike Simone Finstrom, and the list goes on and on. Their entire team have spent 3 decades researching propolis and the health benefits, the attributes, the characteristics of propolis, what qualities that imparts to the honeybees, and if that even makes a difference. And I've got just a brief, just a brief snapshot of these studies from that. This one here. This is a beautiful. I can't even get into reading all of these, but we're talking about Maggie Shanahan, Michael Simone Finstrom, Philip Tokars, Frank Regevich, Quentin, Dr. Reed, Marla Spivak, and it goes on and on and on about the propolis envelope facilitating honeybee social immunity. That there's so many amazing things that are going on that have been studied for a long time that we don't necessarily understand all of the things about it, but there is measurable data that we can actually prove and say, here's what we're finding. And some of the things that I think this is not just my opinion or Yappy's opinion, but information that they're actually finding and can prove is that when bees create a propolis envelope in trees or cavities or whatever that they're doing it, those colonies are healthier, they're stronger, and they're more resilient. What they're finding is that colonies that have the propolis envelope, not only they're healthier, they're creating more brood. When you translate that into Langstroth beekeeping, when they're testing that, they're finding that on average, there's 2 extra frames of brood on average in colonies that have a higher propolis envelope inside of that. Now, you're thinking 2 frames of bees, okay, what's the big deal? 2 frames of brood, even if it was a half a frame extra in a colony, that's a big deal when it's something that the bees are doing and collecting. And I like the comment that Jason Crook from Bohemia Bees put on there. Is his theory is that the bees are collecting propolis, later in the year or during pollen dearths. And I think that's what a lot of us are seeing. The bees are out collecting, and there's a time of year where I think certain plants and trees have more volumes of resin available, and the bees are out gathering and they're bringing it in, and we'll see kind of a change. The bees will create this propolis envelope, and then the colors of that might actually change. But they may put like a thin shellacking first inside the colony, and then as the plant resins change, they'll put like a fire cherry red, really thick lathering inside all the nooks and crannies inside the colony. When they're doing those things, bees aren't the species or the critters who are just doing things for no reason. They are very facetious. They have these directives that they're accomplishing within the colony, and one of the things that they absolutely do is bring back lots and lots of resin. One of the really cool photos that I took that you'll see with the Propolis marketing from Premier is you'll see this honeybee, and she's right on top of the edge of a box, and it's a Propolis box, which is mimicking a natural bee tree. You look inside of a bee tree, you see all kind of texture on the inside of a bee tree, and when we find is trees or inners with texture, the bees are using that as an opportunity to store. So just like the bees are using the comb foundation to store pollen and nectar and a place for mama to lay the eggs, they do the same thing with the texture of a tree, and they use that as little compartments and cubbies to actually store and lather and slather propolis as an envelope inside of there. And so trees are perfect for that. Well, through the studying of that and finding the right textures, now you can create that same opportunity within a bee tree inside of a bee box and do it uniformly and consistently. So whether you want one box or 1,000, you have that same type of texture. Why does that even matter? Well, when you look at the actual importance of propolis, it's scientifically proven to have huge antiviral and antimicrobial qualities inside of the colony. Like that's a big deal. When it leads to having more brood because the colony is more robust, is more resilient, that's a big deal. One of the really cool things that I think you're going to start to hear more of in the future is that colonies with a propolis envelope, it's creating infertility. Not with the honeybees, but with the varroa mites. Think about that just for a second. Decades and decades of studies of propolis are showing antiviral, antimicrobial, more robust, healthy, resilient colonies. And oh, by the way, it seems as though it may also create infertility problems with the mites. It's one of the most beautiful times where the science and research on something like propolis actually hits the marketplace and creates a product that is actually going to make a meaningful and impactful difference with the honeybee health. Like that's a big deal. And I think that's why it's so important to learn from folks like Dr. Simone Finstrom and Marla Spivak. All of those years of all of that work is finally in a product that is making an impactful difference. A lot of times science and research is guilty of, yes, here's the study, here's what we find, and too bad, so sad, this information is held by this university and it never goes to market, it never goes anywhere, never sees any kind of helpful way of life for the industry that it's in. But this is a big deal. A textured box is not a new idea. A lot of us who have gone to the effort of logging our own trees, cutting our own boxes, we know what happens. When you have a rough interior, the bees propolis it. Knowing that and then mimicking what we see in trees, Premier put together a texture that has an even higher opportunity than those bandsaw marks or taking a wire brush to a box or scuffing up the inside. They've taken that times 10 or even better and put a texture inside of there that the bees are really going to town, making a bunch of propolis. I'll show you this before we move on. We've showed this before, but if you can see the inside of this box here, you're looking at this beautiful gold and yellow and fire red color on top of this wax tip box. But look at I can't really hold it at the same time and show. Let's see. Look in this area right here where we've got the frame rests that are kind of closing off that wood. You're seeing that more of that blonder amber wax tip color, but look at all the color everywhere else. Look how much propolis it's actually creating an envelope. It's encasing the complete inside of a colony. Now, here's the cool thing. This box, that particular box, and we travel around with it and show folks that was only 2 months worth of work with the bees. That wasn't on for 2 years or 5. That was only 2 months. I'm really excited to see what the rest of these boxes, what they do that are out there for even longer, how much of a difference. Now, I am not somebody, I am an under promise, over deliver kind of guy. But I can say what we are seeing so far, and I want to keep seeing this. I want to keep seeing this replicate before I really can hang a hat on it. But I am seeing colonies that have that textured box, have that propolis box that mimics a bee tree on the inside. Those colonies that have that heavier propolis envelope, they actually do seem to be doing better. And I think that's important to start seeing these things, start to qualify these things, and then quantify these things. I think that's a big deal. So taking stacks and stacks of studies, putting this into a product that is making a difference, I think that that's really important. I'm really excited to see what folks' experience are with this kind of a box. Before I got to stop, I don't want to keep rambling on. You're going to see a lot of videos. We've got so much footage and interviews with Marla Spivak, with Dr. Mike Simone Finstrom. We've had talks with the largest beekeeper in the country, Brett 80, talking about some of these things too. There's a lot of great folks who are really dedicated and serious about seeing the honeybees do well. What can we actually do about it? So I think one of my favorite health hacks right now for the honeybees are the Propolis hive bodies. You couple that with an Endura Hive wax dip box. It's something that's going to last for a really long time. Brian, let's give away a Propolis Endura Hive wax dipped box available here at Nature's Image Farm. Let's do hashtag Propolis. PROP. Yep, Brian's got it. Hashtag Propolis, and we'll get that sent out for you. Bruce, different parts of the country have different opportunities for things like propolis. Different bees do. You know, we've talked to this extensively, and you look in the gleanings from bee culture from the 50s and 60s. You know, they were really hot and heavy on Carniolan and Caucasian stock. They got tired of how much propolis that they were creating, and they kind of backpedaled and started going more towards a straight Italian, which does a whole lot less of that. Here we are going back to Caucasian and Carniolan genes. Bruce, you just had a really good first take on your graphs. Where does propolis fit into your beekeeping program, Bruce? Is it a nuisance? Is it something that you maybe are interested in keeping in or having more of inside of there?
Yeah, there's a picture that was this afternoon. I put the easy peasy cages on my graphs. That's not too bad for a first graft.
Good job.
Well, if you count them real fast, you can count how many there were there. But there weren't very many misses.
No,
that was fun. But I don't know that propolis plays much of a role actually in grafts. I don't know. I know that if you look on the top of that, well, Brian, put it back up there, top of the Apime box right there. I saw somebody earlier mention here that that's the problem with maybe the hives that have good insulation, like the Apimes or either Apimes or the just other boxes like that. What is it? What are the boxes? The polystyrene boxes.
Yeah.
But if you look on the top of this, there you go. If you look around the actual, not the cages, but the box itself, right beneath the frame there, you'll see that propolis all around the top of that that box there. And so they find places to put it. If you look on the frame rest, right by my right hand, right, you see all the propolis in there around the frames. And one thing I found interesting down here in my area, and you guys may see it too, is if I don't disturb a box, like say it's a double deep or a deep with a medium on top, and I just let it be, I don't get in them for a while, those bees, some of the colonies will actually begin to put propolis on the outside of the box, on the cracks between the boxes. You'll see them seal it together from both the inside and the outside. And that is so crazy to me how they are so attentive that they want to seal it up from the inside and the outside. You'll see almost like it's taken some glue and just glued around the outside of that box. And so I think it's pretty neat. I personally believe the propolis is very important. I know I've had some people, commercial beekeepers talk about how undesirable it was. I've heard them mentioning it in different groups or whatever, but it's always been the sign of a healthy colony to me. Obviously, some colonies are way more prone to produce propolis than others, and but I think it's a healthy thing. It can be aggravating, especially almost in some ways in the summertime. It's sticky. In the wintertime, it's so hard to, if you need to, well, usually I don't get them if it's too cold, but it's so hard to get the frames out, and it can glue everything together. But I really do believe it plays a major role. And it seems like the healthy colonies do produce a lot of propolis. And the colonies that have the traits that I really like many times are the heavy propolis builders. And so pretty cool stuff. I believe it's a good thing. And even if you do have a smooth surface box like an Apame, if it may not be on the sides of the box, but they figure out places to put it. They want it in the hives. They figure out how to get it in there. But when you create a box like a Propolis box, Greg, that actually is designed to encourage them to do that, I think is a pretty cool thing. And you and I were talking about this a little bit in Wisconsin, just how so many people say, well, all you got to do is scuff it up. Just take a wire brush or use a saw blade and just scuff it up. It's the same thing. They've been doing it forever. But we talked about this a little bit, Greg, and you said that, and you mentioned it earlier, that Premier actually put some studies into it, and they tried to imitate the best way possible the actual inside of a tree. And when you look at the Propolis boxes, it's not just scraped with a wire brush. I mean, it actually does look like the inside grain of a tree in a lot of ways. And so there's all kinds of opportunity for them to put more propolis in there and ultimately smooth it out, but smooth it out with propolis. And so that's pretty neat. I think it's a great product. It's a great idea.
Well, you were pointing the arrow down at that frame in there. When I went back and I was saying bees are trying to control the airflow inside of their colony. Okay. So the one place that I'm hoping somewhere down the line somebody's actually going to redesign in a bee frame where the edges sit on the rest of the box, that there's actually no gap in there. If all those going along that frame rest would touch each other and come back into the box so far and then open up that gap so they could come up and over the frame and go down, a lot of that issue with that propolis would be where they propolize the frames together, okay, and have that seems to be one of the biggest frustrations that we have as beekeepers, is because they propolize that whole area up along the frames, the thickest. Okay, if that gap was taken up, because there's plenty of space between the bars for them to go up and over, go in and around, but if that one little area down through there actually was just bar to bar to bar with no gap in there, that would reduce that propolizing problem just there for a bee, to make it less hard on the beekeeper. I'd stepped away for a minute. What'd I tell you? Can you see that right there?
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. Look at that.
I mean, I'm not kidding when I tell you that I saved this stuff. All right, and I could take a chunk like that right there.
Oh man.
And just warm it up a little bit and rub it inside of boxes. But you know what? Oh, that
Smells
right
so
there.
Good. Smells so good.
I personally think that is one of the absolute best things you can do as far as a swarm lure. You get a hunk of propolis like that, you warm it up and you rub it on it has the correct smell. It is the exact component. And there's something, here's one thing to think about is, yes, they can prove the antimicrobial, the antiviral components. They can show and have tests that show these colonies are more robust, they're healthier, they're more resilient. Somehow it's creating varroa mite infertility. There's all these metrics that are a huge net gain and a positive for the colonies. But guess what? They don't know how. They are very honest and say, look, we are studying this right now. What is the mechanism in which these benefits are transferred from the propolis to the honeybee? Like, they're working on that, trying to figure out what is that. All they know is that colonies that have a propolis envelope on the inside have these qualities. Like that is really cool because there is no mastering anything, it seems. Like, and I love that about beekeeping is no matter what you do, we're never going to fully understand or be aware of all of these things. We get these little glimpses into what it is that we think that we're seeing. And to me, I think that there is so much mystery and beauty and almost just never fully knowing some of those things, I think is what kind of draws a lot of us to it. Before I ramble on, let's give away something. But first, if you're asking, what in the world is an EnduraHive wax dipped Propolis box? We've talked a lot about Propolis. We'll play the short video. We'll be right back. We'll spin the wheel and we'll give away an EnduraHive wax dipped Propolis box. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Greg Burns, founder of Nature's Image Farm and EnduraHive wax dipped equipment. Hey, as large family beekeepers, we saw a major need to do way better in protecting our investment with our beekeeping equipment from the elements for the long haul. So I coupled our practical beekeeping experience with our wood science background to create the EnduraHive wax dip line of beekeeping equipment. Our unique wax dip process expels water from the wood, replaces and impregnates it with our proprietary blend of microcrystalline wax, offering superior weather protection without the mess or expense of paint. Our equipment is protected from the weather inside and out, preventing box rot, fungal growth, and decomposition. That's a huge savings in both time and money. No more reworking tired, worn out boxes year after year. Our wax dipped equipment is proudly made in the USA. So protect your investment with EnduraHive wax dipped equipment. No paint, no rot, no hassle. EnduraHive, built to endure. All right, Brian, let her rip. Hashtag Propolis. Here we go. And the winner of a EnduraHive wax dipped Propolis box is...
Can I win it? Can I win it?
Woo! John Bethke. Come on down. Awesome. John, go to our website at naturesimagefarm.com. Click the About Us, go to the contact page, shoot us an email with your info. We'll verify it's you, and we will be happy and proud to ship you an EnduraHive wax dipped Propolis box available here at Nature's Image Farm. Now, hey, if you're interested in a Propolis EnduraHive wax dip box and you didn't win, we want to save you some money. Use discount code STREAMTEAM10 and save 10% on a Propolis wax dip box at naturesimagefarm.com.
Well, man, I apologize. I didn't mean to get Pastor Propolis all up on the up and going about Propolis.
You know what was funny is we had our locals friends Steve and Jane decided, you know what, they're going to tie the knot, and they came in the very first opening day at the supply shop, and they said, Greg, would you marry us? And it was pretty cool. So I real quick grabbed my Bible, found a black jacket, didn't have a hat or anything. I just had a Propolis hat on there, and Yappy coined me Pastor Propolis. That was pretty cool. I wish I had that photo to show you right now. Maybe I'll find it, but
no, but that tell you what, that right there is, I mean, Greg Burns is nothing to me anymore. It's Pastor Propolis from here on out.
I'll have to find that
I
photo.
love it. I love it. Well, no, I didn't mean to go down the Propolis road, but I'm glad we did. As far as that goes, I think it's going to be. I think we're just at the very tip of things with that. But I'll tell you, we need some more hacks, man. What else can we hack? You know, this is a hack conversation.
Oh, there it is. Look at that.
That's my Pastor Propolis. I thought that was Cy from Duck Dynasty getting married. I thought they seriously. When I seen that picture, I was just like, "What, man? You guys are growing bigger than I can handle." I mean, you got Cy coming up to renew his wedding vows up here with Pastor Propolis, And
Hey, Jack.
yeah.
I tell you what's also cool about that is in that photo is my you guys talked to me about you talk about my grandpa who was a pastor, and it was just super cool to have this is my regular reading Bible. It's Grandpa's pulpit Bible, so to be able to have that and be a part of that, be here is a super cool thing. I don't think he ever thought little Greggy was going to be Pastor Propolis, but hey, it is what it is. So.
You've earned it. You've earned it.
That's pretty cool. Well, we got a lot of fun stuff to still give away tonight. One of the things that we'll go ahead and tease now is we're going to give $148 in Hive Alive products away, and we're going to do that not just once, but we're going to do that times two. Still yet tonight, what you'll get in that, you'll get an entire case, 10 pounds of the absolute, my favorite, what I think is the best pollen patty on the market. It's the Hive Alive pollen patty, 15% protein, made with real USA protein pollen. I love it. Right now, our bees are on their second pound of it. They'll be on their third pound next week. I love the Hive Alive products. There are so many benefits to it. We talk about these products all the time. And we've been talking about them even before we were selling them. And I want folks to understand that when there is something that we believe in and we're buying, it's awesome to be able to turn that, sell it, because we use it, we can speak to it, and it's making such a huge difference in our colonies. Right now, in all of our totes of feed, Hive Alive is mixed up. That is on it's in all of our buckets. That's what we use in the fondant products, and especially the pollen patties. And what a big difference. I've got a really cool video I'd like to get out. I guess I'll let the cat out of the bag a little bit, but we ran pollen patty trials, completely unbiased, because if there was something better and the bees like better, I want to know what it is. I am more interested in what are the bees choosing than whatever I choose, because I think I can sell it. I'm interested in what do the bees have to say. And matter of fact, that's how we got in touch with Premier Bee Products to start with. That's another story for another day. But when our focus is on what do the bees choose, what is moving the bee needle forward, that's a big deal. So tonight we're giving away an entire case. Hive Alive reached out and they'd like to give away a case, which is 10 pounds, 10 1-pounders of the Hive Alive 15% pollen patty. We're going to give away a 100 milliliter liquid bottle of Hive Alive so you can mix in your feed. We're going to give an entire case, 6 of the 2.2 pound Hive Alive fondants, and a t-shirt. So $148 value. That's going to be a lot of fun. We'll get that in the ticker down below, but a Hive Alive pack is coming up next. So keep an eye out for that. Yappy, what are some other things that you think are important as far as some honeybee health hacks? You have, I know you brought some questions. You brought a lot of ideas.
I've been watching one particular hive, not for its design, but for one particular reason. I've been watching. I ended up a little over a year ago. I ended up with one of Ricky and Ruth's from horizontalbees.com, one of their horizontal beehives.
Ooh, nice. Those are awesome.
I actually ended up with 2 of them. Okay. And I did a removal out from underneath. It was an enclosed porch that they had turned into a room, and they had mostly insulated this area and put a covering up underneath it so that they could, maintain temperatures up in the room that they built. Well, so that was, basically a horizontal styled beehive in the way that they put their frames in order. So once I did this removal, and it was loaded slap full of bees, it was the biggest one I probably did last year as far as the amount of bees go, and I knew exactly on the way home that I wanted to put them in that horizontal beehive. What's interesting to get to where I have multiple Langstroth hives out in my yard. but I ended up putting bees in both of my horizontal beehives. One just had a lot more numbers to it than what the other one did. But I wanted to see how a thicker walled box, something that could be possibly said to be insulated or have a better R value, would do over some of our normal boxes. And it absolutely amazed me to see how strong that the bees had come out of winter in these horizontal beehives, which then goes into the question thing. Now I know Bruce does a lot with the Appimays. Seen a lot of your videos and how you talk about the Appimays, how you like those. Based on what you're seeing because of an insulated, which will push into a thought process that I have. How do you feel, Bruce, when it comes to the differences in what you're seeing in a more thermally protected setup versus just a standard wooden box?
Well, I mean, I think I don't get in the Appimays much. They just seem to do well. I don't go through them much. I do check on them some. With all the buckles and things on them, it's hard to move through them really fast. Because wooden box, you crack them apart, you look when you're trying to do a lot of colonies. So I just kind of leave them alone. And I've lost a few colonies in them, but for the most part, they don't beard as much seemingly. I think the temperature is just controlled better. But as far as overall, I really have come to the opinion, and especially here in a place like in Alabama where the climate is not extreme, that the most important thing is healthy bees. It just seems to me like, I think we would all agree with that. The boxes do make a difference. The environment they're in do make a difference. But I don't know that it's a huge, huge difference. I also have a horizontal hive that the bees did extremely well in last year, and they kind of fizzled out over the winter. I need to talk to Ricky. I think it was one of his earlier designs, and so I need to talk to him about a few things. But it wasn't. I don't think it was the box. I think the bees just kind of fizzled out. They got old and so forth. But I don't know. The Appimays, it's a very, they've thought of everything as far as the obviously the temperature control and then all the different features on there. It's really a great. If you're going to just get a couple colonies, if you're going to be a hobbyist, I would think it's definitely, I think, worth the investment. It's tough to afford 200 of them or 100 of them because they're quite expensive. I'm sure Appimay would get you a deal on it, but I really like the Appimays. I'm a fan of them. And when I had Appimays in my backyard, they look really good. They all look the same, and they are very durable. Stan Gore is a huge fan of them. I think that's all he has, and so I'm a fan of them. But as far as just ease of just putting boxes on pallets and just getting through them fast, like I've got to do, I do fine with the wooden boxes as well, just the standard wooden boxes. And so I think my goal ultimately, if I can find, as my boxes, I've got some that are starting to kind of rot and get really old. I bought some used equipment that was pretty old. I think my goal is going to be to move more towards the, Endura Hive type equipment as I begin to replace my other wooden equipment. That's kind of what my goal is right now. But definitely a fan of them. I think I got 7 full-size Appimays. I got 3 of the 7-frame nuke boxes. All 3 of those 7 framers are full of like either swarms, or I've got that grafting, that's a cell builder hive is in an Appimay. Works phenomenal. And they're really perfect for catching swarms because you can just catch the swarms, seal them up, take them where you want to go without having to stuff rags or screens or anything in them. And so they're just really good. It's a really good all-around product. And I think what I want to do is order more of the 7 framers because they are so handy. Just throw a couple of them in your truck, put a couple of frames in each one for catching swarms, and they're just so good. They're so versatile and to use. But I'm a fan for sure.
Bruce, I've got a use I know you've probably thought about, but I want to remind you and folks who are interested in Appimay. What I love about Appimay is they have such incredible use that I've got one specifically here. We are dealers for Appimay. We've got the products here, so we get to look and have some first look at some opportunities and things here. We've got something exciting coming up with Appimay available here at Nature's Image. One of the things that is absolutely beautiful is Yappy kind of spoke to it, and then Bruce, you picked up on it, and I'll piggyback it. What I love about the Apame is, and I know Stan loves it for this reason too, Stan Gore, is that little extra insulation value within that colony is such an incredible tool to have in your toolbox, especially if you're raising queens. Now right now here in Ohio, don't get excited. Can I graft queens today? Absolutely. Should I graft queens today? Absolutely not. Yes, we've got drones. Yes, they're starting to brood up, but the first thing we've got to do is build health in the self-starters first. And then once we get to that stage, even if we're early in the year, one of my favorite cell starters, I've got two favorite kind of outlying cell starters. One of them is the Lighthouse Horizontal Hive. Check out that video, picking up the pieces and how important the Lighthouse Hive actually played with our queen rearing program. It's a beautiful video. Check that one out. But Apame hives are designed to not only to be able to split and have two different colonies in there, but you can use them as a cell starter and also use them beautifully as an isolation box, as a timing box to put a queen to isolate her in one section of the box. You put that isolation or that divider in that you can isolate her from there. Let the nurse bees go back and forth. Isolate mama to the frame you want her to lay on in a very well insulated box. You can use that. You pull out that frame knowing mama has only been, and you know exactly where she is. You pull that frame out, your grafting material is right there. What I love about it is you can close up that divider board so the other colony thinks that they're queenless, and then use all of that massive population inside that colony. Use that as your starter because you've got all of that force, all of that heat, all those nurse bees. And the Apames do a really great job retaining the heat inside the colony. So as you do graft and you're putting on all those young grafts, you're able to keep everything warm. That's really important, especially in early season grafts. And in my opinion, really important when you're up in our neck of the woods where the weather is still going this. The signs are right. Drones are out there very soon. We'll have enough pollen, but the temperature fluctuations are still doing this. The insulated qualities of the Apame help smooth out those buffers. And so I really like that.
Yeah, I tend to agree that I think it just, bees are going to survive in any kind of box, especially here in the South. But I do believe that it is less stressful. The bees have to expend less energy to regulate the temperature in the hive with a hive like Apame because the fluctuations aren't as great. And I had no idea what was going to happen with this graft. The Apame is the perfect size. I felt like I didn't have to really hurt any colonies to get plenty of the resources I needed to make a starter colony. And then, man, they just did a great job. So in spite of the beekeeper, the bees have done a great job in there. And our temperature, we've had some rain and it's been a little bit, when I say chilly, like in the 60s, 50s, 60s here a little bit last couple of weeks. But, I have no complaints about the Apames. It's a good product. And I will tell you this for those who may not know, Korhan, we've met him, we've talked to him, we've broken bread with him, and he really cares about creating the best possible product. He is always brainstorming with anyone he talks to. I think about what can I do better? What do you think about this idea? What do you think about that idea? And he talks and he just wants to improve that thing all the time. And every time he makes a change, it's six figures. I mean, it's 90, 100 grand to make a new mold for the new thing that he's doing. And so, it's not like a cheap thing for him to do that. So he is real concerned about creating the best product possible. But I do also understand there is a financial limitation for a lot of people. Some people just, it's just not in their wheelhouse as far as finances go. But if you can afford it, if you're a hobby beekeeper, or if you have a lot of money, you want a lot of them, that's fine. But it's really, I highly recommend. I think they've been really good colonies. I have some that are sitting in the barn. I need to get them back out with bees in them. I had some last year.
That's a lot of money sitting in a barn.
It sure is. It sure is. I've got about 2 or 3 I've got to get back out there.
Sounds like Bruce's bodacious body bars has really taken off. He's able to fund all these These Appames,
Yeah.
man. That's awesome. Good for you,
Hey,
Bruce.
No,
I
the reason I did have one, I think, and then I was like, and then Korhan gave me a 7 frame at the conference a couple of years ago, and then I was like, in my backyard, they just look better. Some of my boxes don't look very good, and so they all look the same. They're uniform, and they're a really good quality bee box. And man, I have 7 of the full size with double deeps with 2 mediums, and then I have 3 of the 7 framers. So I'm well pleased.
Well,
I just received a text from
Oh no.
Jason Crook,
Oh boy.
and I'm just following his orders. He's the partner there with the Queenright dial. So Greg, when you were talking about some exciting things coming up with Appame, there's this little teeny tool here
What's that?
that might fit exactly, it'll fit right in the spot where Appame's tag holder goes. And it might, if you have one of these, it might fit that right in there.
Look at that.
And then, it might just hold the Queenright dial. So I'm just saying it might. I don't know where this came from. It's
Wait, should we stop and make everybody listening sign NDAs, Brian? If you're listening right now, I need you to sign. Yeah, get your NDAs sent in pronto.
Yeah. Everybody listening, please raise your right hand. Pastor Propolis will now.
Repeat after me.
Yeah.
Got your Bible, Greg. Got your Bible there. Put your hand on the Bible.
But
oh man.
yeah,
cool. That's exciting, man. That's a great product.
Appame, they're good people. Good people, like you were saying, Bruce. I mean, Korhan, he's
Just a good
fantastic.
Man.
So yeah.
You guys, what's cool about this is when you bring so many folks who are dedicated to this craft. I know Jason uses that word, the craft of beekeeping. When you have so many folks who are dedicated to the craft, not only creating products, but education and seeing and wanting to move the community and the products forward. When you have the collaboration with those kind of folks, this is what happens. You're able to take a really good product and move it forward in directions that you just ordinarily wouldn't be able to do. There's another product with Appame that's I don't even want to begin to talk about it right now, but I was a part of seeing something unfold that is just, there's a need, here's the people to do it, let's put those together, and boom, just like that, a product that's going to make such a huge impact. I feel like, we're at this, we're all are in this current era of beekeeping where there are so many things that have just hit this tipping point, and then we're at this cusp of so much innovation all happening all at the same time. Great products that are proven to help the bees, move the bees forward, help the beekeeper. That's a big deal. Before we get going here, I want to find out what is in Yappy's Super Gulp. All right. So we're going to do this giveaway just a little different. All right.
Wow.
We're going to give away, in partnership with Hive Alive, we're going to give away an entire case, a 10-pound case of Hive Alive 15% pollen patties. We're going to give away a 100 milliliter bottle of the liquid Hive Alive, an entire case of the 2.2 Hive Alive fondants, and a t-shirt of your size, not Yappy's size, not Yappy's color, but your size. We're going to give that to the winner, whoever guesses first. Okay, Yappy, heads up. You got to watch the comments. I'm going to give him a minute.
I was okay. So I was typing, but I'm going to say,
okay.
Kenneth,
You can't guess for yourself. You can't do that.
No, I was going to say, Kenneth, thank you very much for the is that a super chat or the whatever
Kenny
they call it?
Super chat.
But
yeah,
the
him and his wife, great folks.
He said, thanks, Yappy, for the insight. bro, thank you for hanging out here and tolerating my insight. And okay, I mean,
Inside, outside, side, side.
you are the superhero tonight, bro. Because I'm looking at the chat over here. All right, I'm like, see, there you go. I've been watching that.
Look at the honey. The Yappy's again. Yappy's got a brand new YouTube channel, Honey Money TV. He's coming to you live right now from the Honey Money TV studios, and just showed a secret piece of technology, his iPad commenting device. Now, Yappy,
Go ahead.
I don't want to ask too much, all
Okay.
right? But I'm going to ask for your complete and undivided attention for the next 15 to 24 and a half seconds, all right?
Okay.
Only you know what's inside that super gulp.
It's true.
All right. Now, if you would, Yappy, if you could please, just for a moment, by still remaining undividedly focused, just grab the super gulp, put it in front of the camera. Maybe we'll get a little guess, a lid color. Let's see. Okay, it's from Jack's Hamburgers. Oh, there's the top. Oh, that might have gave it away. All right. All right, there it is. Okay, now put it away. Hide it. No one. Okay, hide it. Hide it. Okay, out of sight, out of mind. All right. For the first person, you have to wait until we say go, though. What we're going to do is for the first person who guesses exactly what you're drinking, they're going to win the Hive Alive pack. Okay, you ready? Are you watching the comments?
All right, but
All right.
but it has to be very specific.
Very specific. It has to meet the Yappy specification specifically of what's in the mug. What's in
Okay.
Yappy's Super Gulp mug? All right. The winner wins the Hive Alive health pack. On your marks.
Wait. It has to come after I say go. All right,
Okay.
ready? So I'm about to say go. I'm giving it a second for the stream to catch up to this, okay? So you're about to see me say go, and then the first person that actually names it specifically correct, we're good. Ready? Go.
Let her rip, Tater Chip.
All
Here we
right.
go.
Negative. There was one that was close. Oh God, you guys are killing me. Slow down. Make it go slow.
Make it go
We
slow.
Can't.
Speed up
Make
your
it
ass
go-
up, man.
Slow down, people. God, you guys were so close, but you're. Yep. Nope. Grammy knows me, and she is so wrong. So no, it was not.
Come on, who is it? Keep them
Nope.
coming. Keep them coming.
Oh, stop! Right there, Catherine. All right, so listen, y'all gonna have to forgive me because I mean it went so fast. But the first one that I saw, they got it right.
Tell me the timestamp.
Oh,
Let's say Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. Catherine, Coca-Cola. Good job.
So yeah, so
Coca-Cola.
now listen, there was a bunch of Coke Zeros got put on there, and I'm gonna tell you something. Who put it? Freedom Apiaries. You mean you ain't friends? All right, Coke Zero is that's like. bleh. I can't say
Diet
the other word.
Coke, Cherry Coke, Diet Coke.
Now, David Miller with the Cherry Coke. I'm going to give you this one, David. Pretty close. Yeah, I'm a fan of the Cherry Coke. I really am. Stan, Coca-Cola. It's too late, Stan. Too late. But yep, Coca-Cola
Okay.
class.
Catherine, congratulations. If you would, go over to our website at naturesimagefarm.com. Go to the About Us, hit the contact, send us a message. We'll verify it's you, and we will put you in touch. Now, make sure you include your shirt size. We'll put you in touch with Hive Alive, and you're going to be the lucky winner of a 10-pound case of Hive Alive pollen patties, a 100 milliliter Hive Alive liquid, a 2.2 fondant, a case of 6 of the 2.2 Hive Alive fondants, and a t-shirt of your size, not Yappy's, and not Yappy's color, because only you can see that on Honey Money TV. Ooh, look at that. Brian's got a shirt. Looking good.
Man, I don't even get a Hive Alive shirt.
No, we can give you a high five.
A high five alert shirt. Yeah, no. That was pretty cool. If you just, I just couldn't keep up with it. It was like
Yeah,
you guys
so many
gotta slow
good.
down.
Okay, who wants to guess what? No, never mind. That's too easy. Okay. So that's pretty cool. Brian, you know, we've talked about Hive Alive. Everyone knows
Yeah.
how big of a fans that we are of it.
Oh yeah.
So, what are some other things? You know, we've talked about things that I don't think folks would have thought about, but there are some mechanical things that aren't necessarily supplements or dietary aids that do make a difference with the colonies. We talked about the health benefits of a propolis envelope inside of a colony, and that's being a phenomenal product. The Propola hive, especially the Enduro Hive wax version, does that and does it in a great way. But we talked about the Apimae insulated colonies, and I think that can also lead. That's also a health hack, especially if it helps to buffer the roller coaster up and down temperatures. Like
Mhm.
that's a big deal, and I think it also helps with getting your starters out, getting your starters going. Having a product or a physical piece of equipment that is leading to an increase in health. That's a big deal. Brian, what are your thoughts on some honeybee health hacks? What are some things that are important to you?
Oh man. You know, gosh, everybody knows. You know, several years ago, I had the bad winter and I lost my colonies. And after that winter, I did some research and looked at what can I change, what can I do better, and I pretty much went all in as far as the supplements. Everybody knows. I mean, I'm all in. I use each of the Hive Alive products. Um, I've changed up uh, as far as where I get my bees. They only come from certain specific individuals. Um, right, right. See, and I changed up my integrated pest management. So all of that combined and together, I will say, adding in those supplements like the Hive Alive products, if someone on here has not used them, don't. I'll add this first off. Don't use them just because we say, oh, they work for us, they're great, and whatever. I tell everybody, put your time in and research the products, know why you're using them. I stopped out at a local store the other day and was chatting with the lady in there, and told her, hey, Monday I put my pollen patties on, and she said, I'm not doing that anymore because I don't want to control the race car. So know why you're doing those steps. But for me, like I said, I want those supplements in there because I don't want my colonies to slow. When we have those times with that crazy darn weather here in Northeast Ohio, um, it's going to slow them, and I don't want that. I want them to just, continually, grow, 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 so that I have those decent sized colonies. You know, um, that's really helped me out. Now, everybody talking about the Apimae, and I think Apimae is, what are they, a 6.8 R value on them? And this goes also for
It's 1/10 away from, it's like 6.9 or 7.9, I
okay.
think. I don't remember which one it is.
Yeah, and this goes also, though, like, set aside from Apimae, other insulated hives that are out there that add that additional R value. Like I had that poly hive. It was a I forget the brand of it now, but anyways, I had that. Those colonies that I had in my insulated, um, I couldn't control them. Like my what was it, 2 years ago when I had the insulated hive bodies, that colony came out and it was just massive. And like you said too, you don't really see them bearding a lot in there. So, that additional R value, it's helping them out. They came out also, what I've typically seen using those type of setups is I haven't noticed that some people will say, oh, well, an insulated hive, the bees are just going to rip through all their stores in a month, and, then you're going to be doing this, whatever. Nope,
Mhm.
I've never seen that. When they've come out of winter, You go and lift them, and they are heavy.
Now, to add to what you just said, I apologize for interrupting, but
No, it's all right.
I'm gonna tell you and you guys, if you follow me on my other channel, you're gonna hear me refer to this. I call it the mega hive. All right, it's my horizontal hive, but I call it mega hive because that thing had 2 boxes collected of bees that I put in it. I promise you, it was no less than 10 pounds of bees when did that first initial setup when I put them in there. So that is a lot of bees. That's incredible to start out with in any colony if you're starting a box. But put them in there. I went back and threw it a little bit later to check, see if the queen got mated. She did, and then I just let them roll. Last year, Bruce probably will say the same thing. We had a horrible lack of rain last year. I mean, my flow in my area, there was not enough rain through that season to make goldenrod even worth it.
Yeah.
But my bees that were in that horizontal box ended up somehow or another, I gave them nothing. They overwintered with 7 full frames of honey, front and back. And now they come out of spring. They were utilizing some of that, but there was one frame that I took out to put into what was it, my first removal or something? I have to look back and check notes. But I pulled a full deep frame to put into another hive to give them food, and it never hurt that colony. That's what that thermal balance did. And it goes back to what I had said earlier about bees that are inside of a void in somebody's house. It's always 70 degrees. Okay. So I've been saying this through speeches for so long that, why do bees overwinter? And let me give you this thought process. I get bees out of grandma's, in between grandma's floor. They've been there for 10 years. I put them in a regular hive box, and I check them. I can do all these different things, but they make it through one season. By the next season, they're dead. We can argue, oh well, there was something wrong with them. They weren't as healthy as could be, or whatever. Blah blah blah. The reason I'm doing a lot more mite checks right now is because I want to see when I take those bees out. I take notes and what I'm putting them in and how long that colony will last as they regrow. But here's the thought process. They've been in grandma's void space in her house for years. It's been 70 degrees ish year round for them. All right. Unhealthy bees are like unhealthy humans. Picture yourself walking. It's the middle of winter. All right. And you've got to go out. You've got to hunt the deer, harvest the deer, cut down the tree, chop up the firewood, drag it all back to the house. Then you got to light the fire in the fireplace and then cook the deer, but you're doing all that with the flu. Okay. So how is it that the bees that are living in grandma's void space have the flu, but it doesn't bother them so much? Because that it's not, there's more of a temperature regulation in there. Okay. If you had the flu and it was 70 degrees out, you could walk out in your yard and you could still do some things, but you can't get out and do that and survive 25, 30 degrees with the flu. So I'm trying to put together. I mean, I don't have some epiphany for everybody. I just know that the better that, and here's a long time argument. The bees heat the cluster, not the colony or the hive, right?
Here we go.
So I don't mind going down this road. All right. But let's think about this. We have 50 people and we're standing in the middle. We're standing on the 50-yard line in a gigantic stadium, dome stadium. I'm going to give you a dome stadium. All right. And there's no heat on and we're all huddled together to stay warm. But all that warmth that we are is just going off into the air and there's nothing. It's just gone. And but if somebody that was smart enough to say, hey, let's put us in a tighter space with a little bit more insulation, the heat coming off our body can actually hold a little bit. We're not heating the room, but that temperature could come up just a little bit, and we don't have to work as hard because that heat's being held in. That's just the thought process. I mean, add to it, take away from it, prove me right, prove me right. I don't care. But I'm looking at there's more to it than just say go buy an insulated hive, go buy an Appamate, go buy a Hive IQ, go buy a horizontal hive, and then stick you a bunch of bees in it, and that's your answer. It's not, because Bruce does a lot more of the Langstroth boxes. He knows how to manage a 10 frame box come wintertime, how much food to put on them, and he treats his bees. There's a management process. If there was anything that I would want to see a first year beekeeper learn, it's the understanding the management, but also when we talk about the hacks, it's the little things that can help you have the best success when you create the failures. See, we're looking for buffers, and that's what
you just said a magic word there.
Well, there's one thing that we don't teach. Okay, it's get you this, get you that, do this, do that, put some sugar water on them. All these things are a part of a program. All right, but if you take one of them out, then it's kind of like losing a lug nut on your tire. You still got 4 more on there. Your tire's not falling off. All right, but then all of a sudden that next one falls off. Now you ain't got 3. All right, and then you hit a bump and things start to vibrate a little bit. Next thing you know, you lose another one. Now you only got 2, and you're hurting. I mean, you're setting yourself up for failure is what I'm trying to get at. So there's some things that you can do to give you that hashtag buffer that might help you get through that first season, that next season, but learn how to do those things, but give yourself the best advantage for success.
Buffer is a huge, we're talking about an area of, in the talk that we gave at the Beak Meet 2024, when we're kind of sharing our kind of the homestead beekeeping journey, where those things begin, why we bring that into the conversation at conferences is there's a difference between mindset and skill set. I don't care what skill set you have. If you don't have the mindset to know why, when, and how, it doesn't matter. Buffers are these beautiful little opportunities that help not only pad an inability to know exactly how to do something, or an inability to cope with weather, or the inability to cope with disease, or the inability to cope with viral loads. Buffers create this little opportunity where they can pad a potential loss, soften the blow, and give you just enough cushion to be resilient and withstand through that. It reminds me of a story of a European soccer team flying across the Andes Mountains.
Oh, wow.
And the planes go down, and they're stuck out in the snow, no resources, no nothing. Planes torn to shreds. Everyone's hurt, starving, no water. Of course, you know where this story goes. I think it's the book, or Alive, I think is what it is. Now, what Yappy as Yappy's talking about buffer, that's what I'm saying. You've got these guys that are huddled together to try to stay warm, right? With no exterior buffer other than windbreak. Okay, windbreak is a buffer. So the sidewalls, what was left of the plane, created a buffer for wind chill and for the extreme cooling off nature of them. But here they all are clustered, using themselves as heat, and then later using themselves as food. But that's a story for another day, which actually is not that unlike the honeybees, if you really think about it. Yappy can speak more on that later. However, imagine that scenario where they are broken, beaten down, starving, sick. Imagine if they were in an enclosed plane with even an R value of 7 all the way around there. that is going to create a buffer that will help some of what I call entropy, a point in which you have a loss of energy. It's going to help in that scenario. However, the colony in this case, the people, they are heating themselves, but the buffer is this outside perimeter space that is buffering the loss of heat escaping that area. Though they're not heating the airplane, they're heating that cluster, but the buffer is created on that perimeter. And I think that's where things like the YAPPY hives are something to think about, because they help. They're a buffer. Creating windbreaks in the wintertime, that's a buffer. Helping bees with their gut health, reducing viral loads, that's a buffer. One of the great buffers that I know Bruce has used, I'm sure you guys have used it too, is when we talk about buffers, buffers also extend to the gut biome, not only of ourself, but to the honeybees, creating a buffer for when those bees may get into something that's going to compromise their health, compromise their overall well-being, and definitely compromise the ability for their gut and their digestion to actually process and pass nutrients to build that healthy nature. One of the things that I know we have used in the past is strong microbials. The Super DFM product, there's also an 801 that helps bees buffer potential exposure to pesticides and insecticides. That's kind of a big deal if you're a commercial beekeeper and they may potentially be in those kind of environments. I know we have personally talked about how we have used that product to help nearly resurrect some really, I mean, nearly nail in the coffin colonies. Bruce, Yappy, Brian, have you guys ever used the Strong Microbials line of products, specifically the Super DFM?
I have, yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Brian, talk to me about your use of DFM.
So I just started. I just started using the fondant that they produced. It was the Strong Microbials, and then it had the Apis in it. I have some of the powder that here shortly, this will be the first time that I'm using it. So I do know about the benefits of it. I've listened to John talk several times. I've seen the data. So I'm curious on how it will, affect my colonies. So that's like my experience with it is it's fairly new. I don't have like years of a background using that product yet. I think to give enough of an opinion to say, hey, it's done this and this and this and this. So we'll see. We'll see what it does. So,
Bruce, what about you?
Yeah, I've used it. I think it's helped me save some colonies in the wintertime. I'm not as consistent using it as I need to be. I know Mike down there in Louisiana, Mike Berry, has started using it. He got a whole bunch of it at the Bee Expo. And so he's using it, I think, in all of his colonies at least every month. And I need to do better about that. I've got it. And today I actually put it on one of my colonies that's having a little struggle down there. So, but I do believe in it. I think it's a good product. It's kind of hard. It's really kind of, in a way, at least in my opinion, somewhat subjective to really notice. I haven't done enough studies or watched them close enough to know the difference, but I do know that I seem to have some healthy bees, and I have been using that. And I do believe in the concept of it. So I need to be more consistent with it, because what happens is when the bees look really good, I kind of forget about using it, and I kind of let them get in trouble, and then I start using it, and it clears them up, or they get a little better. And so I need to actually use it consistently month to month, or, as often as I'm supposed to be able to really tell if it's making a huge difference. I've also used some of the fondant. I've used some of that fondant. I've used they sent me a box of it. I've used that. And, the thing about the fondant is it does well. It gets kind of hard in the wintertime, so it's a little harder for them to consume it, I think, than maybe say the Hive Alive, but they do consume it. And, obviously it includes the Strong Microbials, the Super DFM, as well as the Apis in there. So, but they've consumed it, and I noticed that Bob Benny, he took some bees down to South Georgia this winter, and they were putting that on all their colonies as well. So, you got a lot of the bigger beekeepers that really believe in it, and they're using it with good results. So, yeah, I believe it's a good product.
Yappy, have you ever been in a situation where you've had to cut out bees, or the bees weren't quite right, and had to try to do something to resurrect them, or is that an area you really ever see yourself in?
Not really. See, my program is, and I actually get an occasional comment from those that don't understand what I do. That there's one particular blonde-headed girl that is the professional of the world, and I'm just some guy that has no idea what he's doing. So that interesting statement being said, I get a lot of questions asking what I do with the comb whenever I remove bees, and my program is that I generally don't reuse comb. It all goes in the mixing pot and gets melted and dealt with later. Um, so when I get them back, depending on the size of the colony, is depending on what size box they go in, what I do with them from there, and then just kind of start the. What are you doing? Starting the rebuild from there, but. Wipe your hands off, mister, before you touch that.
I was getting my popcorn for the controversial. Come on, come. Come.
I need to get a bag of popcorn so I can participate.
Okay. Listen, here it comes. How many we got in the live chat? Okay, we only got 173 people in here.
It's only the four of us.
Okay, it's only the four. Yeah, because I think those numbers lie. I think there's actually only like 4 people left in here, and 5 of them are on this stream. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Listen, the one thing that absolutely irks the stew out of me, and I can't explain why, but it just, it's like that little bit of popcorn right there in my beard that I just can't. Is whenever somebody comes that there's somebody over in Texas that makes the videos, and she's got blonde hair and always wears these like black jacket and everything else, and I'm not going to call anybody out, but everybody knows who she is. I'm going to start out by saying she has been one of the greatest things for bees to come in a long time. She has brought awareness to the ability to for people to understand that there's people out there somewhat like me that and probably better than me that will come and take those bees and remove them without having to exterminate them, and I think that's the greatest thing in the world. A platform has been opened up, and she's the face of it. And I'm sure in every context out there that in any topic that you talk about, there's those that do, and then those that make money off of it and dramatize it and everything else. And we're in the bee business, so I can tell you there's multiple out there that just I wish would fall off the edge of the flat earth. That being said,
tell us how you really feel.
I have been absolutely dying to do a parody, a little humorous, and I've got this design in my head of that particular bee expert and the washing machine that she can get them out of. I'm seriously thinking about doing a parody, but today I was in the middle of a conversation and it flew all over me. The bees were so nice. And I took the bees out and I put them in the box on my hand. And it's like the only thing I can think of is you're just one step away from maybe reading stories and having an OnlyFans page. And so I have now officially started the trademark, called the IP lady. I said, we are now starting my 3rd merchandise line, onlybees.net. I'm not kidding you. I will now have a t-shirt line that says only bees. If you don't believe me, go to onlybees.net and it will take you straight to myswarmremover.com page. Now listen, I have waited 2 hours. I've waited 2 hours to announce that. Okay? But yes, Yappy Beeman is the official Only Bees merchandise holder that is out there. So we got it. We got it. But anyway, I hope you'll subscribe to my Only Bees channel. Please. Yep. So what are we giving away next? Hashtag Only Bees.
Well, Yappy, that's what I like about you, is you shoot straight. You know, you say what you're thinking, and if folks want to learn more about Yappy, not just. I'm struggling with the segue here, guys. Help me out, okay? I'm struggling. I'm floundering. Help me out here. For all things Yappy, visit.
If you want to see a side of Yappy you never thought you'd see, go to onlybees.net.
I gotta go. Is that really a thing? I'm afraid to.
Go to it. I dare you. I double dog dare you.
Let's do it. Okay, let's open up second screen.
So it went somewhere else.
Let's see. Brian, can you know how to do that and put it on the screen?
Yeah, but it went.
Exactly. It's a redirect. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a redirect. Now listen, I mean, we just got this thing up and running. So there's the merchandise and stuff is not there. But
There
if you
it
go to
goes.
onlybees.net, that's what it takes you to.
Wow. Man,
Hey, click on Honey Money TV while you're there. Check it out.
Oh, look. What do we have here? A whole new side of Yappy the Beeman. That's awesome. Look at this. Okay. Ooh, that's a good one. Look at that. Nice.
Video not available.
That looks good.
I'm gonna unprivate that one. I don't even know why that said private, but anyway. And then
it's on the Only Bees page. It's private.
Yeah, probably. I'm telling you,
Cool.
if we can have subscriptions on YouTube, then I guess I can do Only Bees, subscriptions on YouTube.
Huh.
Well, you never know what side of Yappy you're going to see there.
Wow.
You just, hey, long as the check clears, right, Yappy?
That's way out. I tell you, listen, I'm very disappointed that Grammy's not in here and actually commenting on all this. Grammy,
she's too busy. She's blushing.
Probably still
hard at work
yeah,
blushing.
she's probably dying laughing. Yeah, and just so you know, it's Only Bees. All right, I'm not. Don't email me asking for feet pics. It ain't happening.
Oh no feet buff pics.
Bees.
None of that.
This is Bees, you weirdo.
Bees only. Hence the
Hey,
name. Oh, she's there. There she is.
Oh, listen, see, if I don't talk about her, she's just gonna sit there and hide for a while.
She's there.
Let me see if you can see that.
Yep.
Can you
Nice.
Can you see that?
I see it.
Okay, so answer me a question. Is that a mated queen?
Is there eggs?
I don't know. Look at how big she is compared to the which are actually her sisters. It's not her daughters.
I believe she looks like a virgin queen to me, but she might be a mated queen. So I'm very non-committal.
I see a very distinct triangular shaped abdomen, which most of the time is a virgin queen. However, can also be, here's a couple things I'm going to look in on. Look at her thorax. Not a stitch of hair on that thorax. New queens, virgin queens, lots of hair. How do you know that, Greg? Because they spend a lot of time marking new queens, and there's always a bunch of hair on the thorax. So at least on the picture that I'm seeing, Yappy, what I see is a bald thorax. Okay, there's the abdomen, but go up to the thorax.
Yeah.
Look how bald that is. So if you were to hit that with a paint marker, nice, crisp, defined line. But look at the size of the abdomen. Now, what you could be looking at is an older queen that they are thinning out and starving to take flight. She could have also been a smaller queen to start with. Don't necessarily let the size of the queen judge queen quality. because we have seen some behemoth queens come out of little nub cells, and then some little queens come out of some behemoth giant size queen cells. Is there a difference on what they look like? Sure. If you've got a fully mated 2 or 3-year-old queen, I mean, that's what we call alligator tails. I mean, they are dragging an alligator tail, just big, 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 big. Actually, let me show you this. Now that you asked that, I have right here. Hold on.
See, what I didn't tell him is the fact that she just has actually hatched within the last week. Don't tell him.
I have a box of queens. Now, let's see.
You got queens?
Oh, yep. Well, they just took a slide down there.
Yeah. Now they
we've
all
got some extra queens that we picked up from our package run. And let's see. Let me blow. What's a little trick? You know, when it's cool and they're moving slow. Here we go. Let's see if we can get on this camera. There we go. Okay, see how slow they move when they're cool.
Well, I'd probably trying to run from you if you blew sunshine on my skirt too.
Especially after popcorn breath and monster drinks.
I ain't no butterfingers.
But hey, so these are mated queens. They have been they were pulled out of colonies that had sealed brood. But if you notice something happens even with fully and truly mated queens is when you remove them from the hive and you cage them, what I have seen is their body starts to slender just a little bit. Now, if we were to go out and catch a queen that's like, let's say 2 years old or even 3 years old, they are so big, you really start to see the size start to shrink. And then after, you know, and into that second and third day of being in a cage, you really see that. So just because you see, let me get this unzoomed off my ugly self. There we go. So it's hard to judge a queen's size by her age. But one thing that I typically have seen, unless there is some kind of, it's just us four, you know, so I don't have any hair up here. That's why I always wear a hat. Those queens who are bald, typically, unless there is maybe some, and now you can have, sometimes you can have that slick look on bees when they're sick and have disease. But on queens, you look at the size of the abdomen, looks a little small, kind of triangular, a little more like what you would anticipate seeing on a virgin queen or a queen. It doesn't have a lot of that plump juiciness going. However, look at the thorax. And the thorax being bald like that with not a lot of hair leads me to believe that she's potentially an older queen, or, ready for this? Here's a theory. Maybe she is an old queen from last year, never got fully mated, and she's running around a colony, not really hard laying any eggs or doing much, and doesn't have that full essence of herself. That's a possibility. What do you guys think? What are we looking at here? A virgin queen? An old queen?
I already gave them the secret, so I can't wait.
I'm sticking with my original answer.
Virgin?
What did you say?
No.
I think you said virgin. So he's going for.
I look at the one thing. The wings, and obviously the size of the abdomen does make a difference. And I see what you're saying about the thorax, but the wings on that queen are not. You know, lots of times when they're fully developed and mated, the wings don't seem to go near as far back on the abdomen. They seem smaller. But then again, that's because the abdomen's so big, so they go almost to the back of her abdomen. So that's kind of what I was going by with my initial thought. But I do, like you, Greg, I have seen some smaller queens that were very effective that never grew into the long, you know, queens that you think of.
Well, Brian, what's your best guess, Brian?
I would think she's a young one.
Yeah.
Yappy, talk to us about her.
I'd have to look back at the date. So y'all just forgive me because I ain't got no notes. This was the queen that emerged.
I think Yappy needs a queen right dial. See?
This is the queen that emerged from the split that I made off of Mega Hive, and had the cup, put them in there, checked it a couple days later, had 3 cells that developed. The one that I originally had, plus 2 extras that went in there. And then it was like last Thursday, Friday was the window where I should have been in there and put cages over them, which I heard Bruce say back a few stream teams ago, where he talked about like and have he putting the little wire mesh cages over some of the cells to try to catch them as they come out, and kind of keep up with those. That was my intent. I actually have those same type little square cages. Was going to do that very thing, and unfortunately, cold weather, rain just did not allow it. So by the time excuse me, bubbles, by the time I finally did get in there and actually look for that, that's what I found, and it drove me nuts because they're in the small box. They ain't but 5 frames in it, and it's not overpacked with bees. And I went through that thing front to back twice before I ended up finding her, and she is literally a hair bigger than all the regular workers that are in there. And if I take my eyes off of her for a second and look back, I lose her that quick. But here's the curve now. If you watch that video, and I'll tell you, it's on the non-self-promotional on the Honey Money channel. The last video that I put out, if you go towards the latter third of that video, you'll see me, with her. I say, here she is. She's walking around. But she's literally backing up to cells and putting her little tush in there, and she's throwing me for a loop. And this is just a couple of days ago, where she's walking around. What's the one thing that you could tell on unmated queens that before they've hit that flight? What's their normal action? What do you expect one to act like?
They run around.
Those young ones are quick. Yeah, they're fast. They're quick. They're speedy. They don't have the swerve. They don't have that swagger.
No.
That a mated queen typically. A freshly mated queen, however, is pretty darn fast still, and just a little herky jerky on the frames. But then you give them a couple 3-4 weeks, and they really start to settle into that.
So I wished I was more stable on the video. I'd show it to you, but she's literally on the comb. I mean, she's walking around looking. Now, here's the thing: is she looking for something to eat? Because they'll tend to they keep up with the unmated queens when they're in the boxes, but they don't treat them like a dang mated queen. And she's running around through there doing her thing, checking out, looking at cells. But 2 days ago, she was backing up to one, and as soon as she backed up to it for just a second, it was every action that she was laying an egg. I mean, I was saying it in the video, and she'd pull out of there, and all the bees that were anywhere near her, and they were going, "What are you doing? What did you checking that thing? Going? Did you just literally, whatever?" It would make a great comedy if I actually had a really good camera and had put that on there, because I'm telling you, I could have done the little voiceovers with the bees that were in the box. I could have voiced over that. Sorry, couldn't help it. But it would have been funny. Well, that was, what day was that? Sunday, Monday, somewhere in there that I was in there. Well, today's Wednesday. I just 2 hours before sunset went out there and went looking around again, found the frame that she was on. She's kind of running around now. She's pushing me more towards okay, I don't think she's made it yet. Refresh me and everybody that's still in here, the 5 of us that are here, from the day that a queen emerges from her cell, how many average days is it before she goes on a mating flight?
Ooh, this is a great one. Bruce, what do you think? What's your best guess? I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't have a guess. You can just say no comment.
I've got a guess, but I don't know. I'd say 4 or 5 days.
Brian?
I was thinking I was actually going higher than that, like 5 to 7. But that can vary, though. And I know where Greg's going. He's going to a story that was in his learning yard where there was a queen that I think it was 3 weeks.
So on average, when you're breeding queens, you're expecting a mating flight within 6 to 9 day window. Give them about 10 days. However, we had a scenario, and here's why I want to bring this up, because what I see in your queen is nearly exactly what we've seen here in the learning yard. And it's one of these curve balls that also take a curve. So we had in this scenario, Yappy, maybe this resonates with what you saw, maybe it didn't. We had a colony, which we had a queen in there, and she was very small, seemed underdeveloped. If you put that in the photo that you showed, she had little wider hips, but they weren't like mega wide. Wasn't like super huge triangle that you'll see in those virgins when they freshly hatch. What I saw in that photo there is also a very defined color and contrast and shape of that abdomen, although it was a little irregular, not a fully slendered, but not fully triangular shape. What we had seen is we had a mated queen, but she wasn't mated real well. And I think the queen was underdeveloped to start with. A queen cell maybe got too cool, didn't get enough nutrition. The list could go on, got bumped a little bit. Who knows exactly what the issue was, but she never really got with the program. And the colony, it's like, okay, I guess we're stuck with you here a little bit. You're not really doing your job. What's going on? Okay, we marked her, and then it got to the point to where there was nothing in there. She would go in and back in like she was going to lay, but there wasn't any eggs. And the colony started getting smaller, and smaller. So we actually set up a learning opportunity in the learning yard where in a productive colony, we removed the queen out of it and let them go, no eggs, nothing. And then we took the other marked queen who was not laying at all, and we placed her in that colony, and we had somebody go in and take a look and say, okay, what is the condition of this hive? And they went in and they said, okay, well, I don't think it's queen right. There's no eggs, but they're calm. No eggs. But look, here's the queen, and she's marked. What's going on here? Timelines weren't matching up. And so we kind of filled them in on what we were doing. We want folks to look for the evidence of the queen, not the queen herself. So fast forward, that particular queen at that moment in time was 3 weeks old. Hadn't gotten with the program yet, right? We came back at the next learning yard interval, which was another 14 days, which now this queen is 5 weeks old. And all of a sudden, something happened with this queen. Now she was mated and firing away and laying up a storm. 5 weeks, not 10 days. It took her nearly 5 weeks to go on a mating flight and to start laying it up. That's outside anything you'll read, outside of what most people will see, but yet there's the evidence right inside the colony. And her entire life, she looked like exactly the same size and shape that Yappy showed until she hit her stride and started laying. And then she started developing and then filling out. It was unbelievable. I don't know if that's what's going on with what you're seeing there, Yappy, but there seems to be something with the age of the bee, especially a queen, and when they start to lose the hair on the thorax and the difference between virgin and mature. That's some of the fun things about this. We don't know all these things. All we can do is see, when we saw this, here's what happened. When this happened, we saw this. So I want to know, I want to have a follow-up maybe on Honey Money TV, Yappy's brand new YouTube channel, where you can kind of follow this queen and see what in the world does she do. Does she get with the program? Does she start laying? Does she fill out? Does she get bigger? What's going on here? I think it'd be fun to kind of see the storyline of this queen, Yappy.
Yeah, I think we're still in that window. We've had good weather today. I was actually very surprised, and she may have gotten out there today and did a flight yesterday. There's no way in the world. I mean, we had horrible wind all day yesterday, up and through last night. Storms come through, even partly this morning, and all of a sudden, probably about 11:30, 12 o'clock, man, the skies opened up, no more wind. It was like, wow. But man, there that would make a great, maybe in my mind, just because I'm saying it might be great. But if you guys ever want to do an episode of crazy, abnormal bee stories,
Oh yeah, jeez.
you know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
mean, now, and I'll throw one. There's a friend of mine that's up in West Virginia that I've communicated a lot with back some years ago, and I don't know. He just kind of got out of the social medias, but he and I were talking Queens one time, and he threw this little curveball at me. He said, God, it's going to open a can of worms. Do bees move eggs? Can bees move? Do bees move eggs in the colony?
Oh,
All
that's
right,
a
let's
good one.
yeah, I know, just
Let's
save it,
save that for another
save
episode
it.
of things that people say bees don't do, but do they? With Yappy the Bee Man.
Do they? So he was telling me the story. He said it was later in the season. I don't. I'm trying to remember the best that I can, but he knew he had a colony that was going to fail. They did not have a queen. He knows it for a fact. And some time goes by, something, and then all of a sudden he goes out there one day and he starts to go through this box. I don't know what his plans were, but he pulls a frame out and there's one single queen cell in the box. Where did it come from? And I'm like, huh. He said, I said, well, we've always got the Virgin Mary, so I mean, who knows? I mean, what? But he said he says, I'm pretty sure we had a rogue pirate bee that went and snuck into a box, stole an egg, brought it back, all right, and risked life and limb to save that colony. And I went, you know what? I don't put it past them.
I wouldn't
But
either.
but I have wanted for years. There was the guy who I can't remember his name. I asked one time. I said, how long can a queen go before she will be a dud and not be able to get out and get mated? All the books, everybody will tell you it's 21 days. After 21 days, you might as well pinch her head off because she's not going to do anything. Man, I've got all kind of questions. Can I take a queen and cage her up and keep her from getting mated? All right, for however long, and then make her nothing but a drone layer. Okay,
That'd be cool.
If I put her in a top box where she can't get out, put a queen excluder on, all right, or do whatever I've got to do, but I'm going to keep that queen from getting out because if she's unmated, she'd probably slip through. But what can I do to keep her from getting mated for 28 days and let her plump up and then release her out in there to see if she'll. These are the weird things that I think of, but I also want to know. But I want to know this. I want if I pull a queen out of a colony in the middle of winter, but they always continue to lay eggs. There's always going to be a pocket that a queen's going to lay eggs even through winter. Will they make a new queen? And if they do make that queen, will she stay small like that? With that queen hatched out somewhere in the last 5-6 days, so that's why she's so small. All right, the picture that she's only been out for 5 or 6 days. That's why I was kind of going. I thought it was the 5 to 7 day window. That was my number, but I have known them because of weather to hold up till 21 days. So anyway, all that being said and done, I wanted you guys to look at it and go. The story was 3 days ago she was dipping her backside into a cell like she was laying an egg, but nothing was coming out. So I give it a couple days. So I wanted to check today to see was she dropping eggs. Now she's just walking around like an unmated queen, acting just like that. And her tenders, the bees in there aren't paying her no attention. So now I'm thinking, okay, what is wrong with her? But she just hadn't got mated yet. So anyway, we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I'll be glad to do an update on that.
For all these mysteries and more, make sure you check out Yappy's brand new YouTube channel, Honey Money TV, where he now has the platform to chase little fun things like this and figure out all the weird stuff. The other side of Yappy, that's pretty awesome. For all the folks who are here on the Nature's Image Farm, the live stream with the stream team, beekeeping chat, special guest Yappy the Bee Man, we want to thank you for spending time with us tonight. We're going to do some rapid fire giveaways. We're going to make sure we get a lot more folks some cool stuff to their door. Before we do that, I want to quickly thank our buddy Jason at Bohemia Bees for gifting 5 Nature's Image Farm YouTube memberships. Bohemia Bees, Queen Right Dial, Jason Crook, thanks for that. Shout out and hat tip to our pal Brian Coper here at Castle Hives. Hashtag Be the Lighthouse, hashtag Stream Team. Thanks, Brian. Dave Dwyer, I want to thank you for gifting 5 Nature's Image Farm YouTube channel memberships. Dave, we really appreciate you doing that. Thanks a lot. Connor of the Brown and Daughters Honey gifted 10 Nature's Image Farm YouTube memberships. Man, that's awesome. Connor, thanks so much. Be sure to check out the Brown and Daughters Honey YouTube channel. A lot of cool stuff going on there too. Got to thank our buddy Bruce for the $20 super chat. Hashtag Stream Team. Hashtag Be the Lighthouse. Hashtag Honey Money TV. Hashtag Bruce's Bodacious Body Bars in a big, big way. Check it out. Kenny Bach, want to thank you again for great content tonight. Thanks, Yappy, for your insight. We appreciate you guys. Let's go ahead and give away a 10-dose application of Strong Microbials Super DFM. A lot of great products that we talked about tonight that are great health hacks. A lot of times folks are looking for a this or that. I think we're not in that ball game. There are certain products that do certain things, and I'm a big fan of the Strong Microbials for what it does on the microbial side. I'm a really big fan of what Hive Alive does on the thymol and the nutrition side, what we have seen and have proven and right in front of our eyes what it actually does with the bees. If you are, if you'd like to win this 10-dose pack, hashtag Super DFM in the comments below, and then Brian will make that one happen. We're going to rapid fire that too. Brian, can we do 2 hashtags at the same time, or do we need to do one at a time?
Just
one at a time. Okay, rapid fire. Hashtag Super DFM. We'll give it just a few seconds there. In the meantime, Bruce, what are you up to this coming week?
Man, just gonna be probably starting to stack some honey boxes on. I mean, we are about to explode here with the privet soon, and then that's just going to put us right into our season. Also going to be keeping an eye on the splits I made, dropped queen cells in about 3 weeks ago. And also these new cells, I got to figure out something to do with them. So I'll be breaking out some probably smaller mating nuke type situations to see if we can get some good queens out of them. I hope they turn out okay. We'll see. It's been a fun experiment. It's been a fun time. And so, I'll be documenting what I can on the channel, just kind of doing what I do, just sharing little adventures that I have along the way and what I'm doing. I'm kind of like a little bit like Mike Berry, but he's better explaining stuff than I am. I'm just kind of getting in the box, showing you what I'm doing and telling you why I'm doing it. And then you can do what you want. It doesn't always work. Sometimes it does, but it's fun to share it along the way. So that's what we got going on. And just this game on here for sure. But I've got 150, 160 supers or more stacked up in that barn that I got to find hives for. And I think it's going to happen here pretty soon.
Nice. Make sure you guys check out Bruce's Bees YouTube channel. Follow Bruce along in his grafting and queen cell and super stacking adventures. Brian, go ahead and hit it. Hashtag Super DFM.
Let me share it up.
Now listen, I entered. If I win it, I want it. Oh, dude, there was my name. Do it again. Go backwards.
And the winner is
Oh, it's so close.
Utah B-Man. Way to go.
Nice.
Representing
Roosevelt, Utah. Up in the middle of nowhere, out east of Salt Lake, eastern Utah out there.
Wow.
Utah B-Man, go to our website, naturesimagefarm.com, hit the About Us, the contact sheet there. Shoot us a message and get us your info, and we will get that to you. Let's go ahead and let's just keep it rolling. Just giveaways. Let's roll. Let's give away another. We are so proud to have collaborated with the one and only Queen Right Dial, available here at Nature's Image Farm. It'll be on our website soon as well. If you're interested in winning the Status Indicator 2.0, fantastic way to keep track of where your hive is, what their progress is, and also which color queen you've got in there, which year she is. You can also take notes right here on if you need to feed, you need to inspect, what you've got going on. Hashtag Queen Right Dial for your chance to win. Hashtag Queen Right Dial in the comments. Maybe you can win that. In the meantime, Yappy, tell us what's coming up for Yappy and Honey Money TV here in the next couple weeks.
Ooh, man, I'm full blown right now as far as removals are kicking up pretty good. We've gotten 2 swarm calls that were very nice. Did a removal 3 or 4 days ago in a porch column, and I come up with this new thing that I'm going to do. You know, I have 2 different style BVACs that I use, and one is my Voldemort BVAC. I actually reached out to the new owners of that company and wanted to do some collaborations with them, and they didn't call me back. It made me feel kind of bad. So, in its own little funny, humorous haha, it's one of those where the guy who used to own it, I would have wrote his business on the back of my truck and showed it to everybody because he was awesome. But anyway, I'm just a little jaded. That's just me. But the other BVAC, I'm using for catching my swarms. But I have decided now that I'm going to actually weigh these containers before I go and write it down on the container so I know what they should weigh, right? When I get back, I'm going to weigh these things just to say, okay, I think I've got this many pounds of bees, blah, blah, blah. And, we'll weigh it out and then subtract and say, wow, that was crazy. Well, the first time that I did this, I literally went and put the box on the scale, weighed it, and the box and the bees weighed 24 point something pounds. Dumped the bees into the new hive, took them out, and reweighed the box with no bees in it. The box only weighed 12 pounds. I pulled 12 pounds of bees out of this column.
Wow.
I could not believe it, but that's one of the little twerks as far as on that. I'm going to be doing I think there's plenty of people that can teach you how to do splits. I'm just going to my angle with Honey Money TV is I'm gonna share some of the thought processes on products that I go through, different types of hives, what I like, what I don't like. That people can follow the progress of some of the colonies that we remove and put on there, because I get a lot of that, and this gives me an opportunity to do live streams where it's the people that are on Honey Money TV channel are there because they're beekeepers and they want to be. It's not something where somebody just happened to jump up and this one video caught their attention and they just come and go. This is more of a one-on-one, and I'm so far it's doing great. I'm very fortunate. I think we're up to 811 subscribers in basically roughly about 10-12 days. I've promoted a little bit, and then with the help from you guys from the stream team, thank you for last week and this week for the opportunity to share that name. It's doing really good, and I thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, stay tuned at the Yappy's new channel, Honey Money TV. Brian, hit the wheel. Queen Right Dial. Winner is Kenny Bach. All right, Kenny, well done. Well, hey, guys, we want to thank you for spending time with us tonight here at the Stream Team Beekeeping Chat. We really appreciate you guys, your support, your comments. Be sure to like this video, share it. We're looking forward to another chat next week. Fellas, whose channel is it on next week?
It'll be on mine. You guys are all going to come over to my channel.
Well, whoever's channel it is, maybe we'll have another Hive Alive giveaway then too. We like to be able to pass these things on, pay it forward. Everybody wins. It's a lot of fun. We appreciate you spending time with us tonight. Honeybee Health Hacks. Hope you learned something. Hope you had a lot of fun. Stay tuned. Next Wednesday, 8 p.m. on somebody's channel. Until then, we want to remind you, be the lighthouse and be the change you want to see in this world. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.